Alright, well, let's get into it, eh, Biscuit? Assuming that you cannot be naughty for 5 minutes. Biscuit, calm. You're suddenly all in play mode. But it is not playtime. So we'll just mess with this for a little bit. Hi y'all, we're back. Last we left off, well, by all accounts, we technically proved our case that, David Asher didn't kill himself. We did technically prove that. It's just that the thing that ended up, discovering was very not good. And if they dare to hurt, which, although, that being said, androids cannot be arrested. So, does beg the question of what's going to happen next. Because last we saw, it looked like Serra was the one who maybe poisoned the guy. Which is bad. Because A, she's our android daughter and we love her. And B, please no. Well, I managed to prove that David didn't kill himself. And in the process, I proved that his android did. I proved that the android that's been walking around with me all day is capable of murder.
Oh hey buttons.
Hello, Shalir. Welcome, how you doing? A killer robot. Thank you for the junk. A true, unbound AI with military-grade specs and at least one death to its name already. I say nay. I say Serra is not capable of murder. So much for avoiding the public eye. Thank you for coming here on such short notice, Judge Barrows. Ha! As if I'm doing you some kind of favor. Didn't realize I had any choice in the matter. This isn't some bad joke, is it, Miss Rockford? I'm afraid not, Your Honor. You know, I like the adjutants. I always have. They deal with the criminal trial so that bookish, quiet, contemplative people like me can spend all day typing up arguments for obscure legal treatises. That's what I like to do. That's what I like to do. Superior Judge at the Higher Circuit. Likes air conditioning. Same. Avoids overspending on restaurants. Also same. Splashes on expensive hotels. Never mind. Relaxes by watching action movies. I kind of love this old lady. Okay, why did the audio reset itself? Because it was very loud. Enough. I don't like coming down here and dealing with all this heavy-handedness. Won't someone toiling away under the police state think of the poor bureaucrats? And I certainly don't like making rulings on anything as spicy as AI. She can barely bring herself to say it. And you, Counselor Morgan, you're the one it's registered to. That's correct, Your Honor. Please note that I didn't register to it until this morning. So what did it do, exactly? Torture an animal, shut down a hospital, crash a coin market. We have it on camera poisoning a man, killing its creator. You mean Dr. Asher? That is... Can't hope to keep this quiet for very long. All we can do is try to wrap it up quickly. Let's make haste. Adjutant, do you have the case number? Case ID is 241277A, docket number YT9843188282. Thank you. Can you repeat that? YT9843188282. I think I lost you after the first 8. I have it copied here. And what are the security procedures for an incident of this nature? A data quarantine is to be established around any networks the subject was exposed to for more than 66 seconds. A lot of them. An absolute lot of them. The entirety of Noble. All offending hardware is to be destroyed immediately through incineration at a minimum temperature of 3,422 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. Sorry, Spearmint. Nothing to be done. No debate to be had. This isn't even a decision. Sorry, Serra. Not Spearmint. David gave you that name. I should at least make the effort to use it. It sounds very hot. Do we have furnaces that get that hot? Of course! There are a number of industrial furnaces within the city limits that I could recommend. Sorry? Why should I be sorry anyway? I fulfilled the request. Favor repaid. I don't owe Serra anything, especially not if it killed my friend. Biscuit, don't you do it. Right, Morgan? Sorry? I was just saying how grateful I am that we have the procedures for this kind of thing all laid out already. Yep, keeps things nice and simple. It can feel somewhat severe going through these steps so quickly, but nothing, Your Honor. Artificial intelligence is perhaps the greatest threat to human civilization and the sanctity of life there's ever been. Any piece of software, big or small, no matter the vessel, if it can violate the tenets it was programmed with, it has the potential to cripple our nation in a matter of moments. Yes, couldn't have said it better myself. You're awfully calm about this, considering you're registered to it. Straight from the textbook, almost. Well, I mean it. Monsters like that don't belong in this. Are you calling my daughter a monster? How dare you? Look at how cute she is. How dare you? Biscuit, get down. Biscuit, come here. Naughty boy. There you go. Bad naughty boy. They should never have been born in the first place. Destroying them is a kindness. And if anyone's to blame, it's... No one's blaming you, Counselor. You couldn't have known you were in possession of an AI. I'm talking too much. Probably just tired. It's been a long day, and I've had a lot of thoughts. Sorry, Serra. What? Biscuit? What did I say? I said no. You need to go into timeout? Is that what we need to do? Baby has been sentenced to timeout. Yes, I too hate it when I have thoughts. Black. Terrible things. You were just born wrong. Fuck. No, hold on. Don't say it like that. Don't say it like that. Oh my god, that one hurts too much. Fuck. Considering how autistic coded this girl is, woof. Not your fault, necessarily. If it were up to me, you'd get points for trying. Trying to be something more. Trying to be something at all. Or anything other than what you are. It was stupid, of course. And futile, and pointless. Spending hours in front of a TV or laying in bed staring at your phone. Watching stupid movies and trying to papier-mâché an ill-fitted mask of humanity out of the scraps you could tear out of magazines. Practicing expressions and memorizing lines and trying to get something to take root and grow despite knowing it'd have nothing to feed on. Stupid. Morgan? What was that, Counselor? I said objection. And what are you objecting to? What are you doing, Morgan? I'm a defense attorney, and this is what I do. I understand that you've been a lot through these past few hours, Counselor, but there's nothing to defend. On the contrary, Your Honor, I have to defend myself. Pardon? You say that this android, Serra, is an AI because it broke its tenets. Obviously. And you believe it broke its tenets because of this newly discovered footage that appears to show it committing murder via poison. All true, and no laws broken on your part. Here it comes. Never thought I'd be incriminating myself in the courtroom just to make a point. Don't you dare try and entrap me on this. It's pretty simple, actually. If the state is making a claim that Serra's an AI, they're accusing me of committing a felony. Because I'm the legal owner of that android. What the hell are you doing? And if the state wants to charge me with owning an AI, I will not take that lying down. I know my rights. Counselor, your argument is self-defeating. Listen to yourself, Counselor. You claim that Serra is just an android, a product that will be obsolete within a year. But you've only known it for a few hours. You've only owned it for a matter of minutes. And yet here you are, risking a felony charge to save it from being demolished. Because you're wrong. And I know you wouldn't care. Unless this android was something special. Look at us. Me arguing that I'm guilty, and Emma arguing that I'm a softie. It'd be funny if it wasn't so... fun. You think there's no reason I'd want to save this android from destruction other than feelings of personal attachment? Hold on. Oh, yeah. I can think of at least one reason why I don't want you to turn Serra into slag. One very convincing reason. Or a very convincing number. Still feel like it's a little bit louder than it should be. What are you... What is that? That number is Serra's estimated financial value on the collector's market. You've gotta be... I got it from an insurance evaluation algorithm that assigned to lowball you. That does seem like a reasonable incentive for you to want to keep your android intact. It's a free country, Your Honor. I have a right to defend myself. And we have a free market, so I have a responsibility to defend my financial interest. Your Honor, a trial like this would be... I'm not going to let you turn this courtroom into a circus, Morgan. You can't spend the next half-decade bringing in expert after expert to identify the philosophical distinction between AIs and ads, spiraling into appeal after appeal, all while the media... This machine appears to have willfully killed a man. The public needs answers now. Of course, Your Honor. I have neither the desire nor the resources to get into a drawn-out battle with the state over what constitutes an illegal machine intellect. So, the state says my android, my property, killed a man in violation of its tenets, so they want to take my property and destroy it. I'll prove that my machine didn't harm anyone, so the state will have no reason to suspect it's an AI, and I'll get to keep my property. Unlawful seizure thwarted. Don't be cute. I feel a stomach ulcer coming on. Fine. I'll have your day in court, but it'll be one day. Tomorrow. Prove that this machine didn't kill Dr. Asher. No. Prove that it couldn't have killed him. Anything less than absolute proof, and I'll have the damn thing obliterated. And you'll also be looking at a very real sentencing for the public unrest you'll have enabled. Yes, Your Honor. D.A. Rockford, what I'm asking of you is just as heavy. Find the truth by the end of tomorrow. We can't settle for anything else. Win or lose, there can be no doubts about the outcome of this case. Yes, Your Honor. Now, I need to go lie down. Can I come? You can power down. Was that Judge Android coming on to the real judge? Was that flirting? Morgan, I misjudged you. Hey, look. To be fair, when it comes to Morgan, these people aren't her colleagues. For the most part, they're her enemies. Every single one of these people. They're the state. She's a defense attorney. She's like, no, I'll make y'all motherfuckers work for it. For once in your goddamn lives, except for you, Emma, who works a lot and really needs to sleep. At what point? Whenever I wrote you off as a small-time defense attorney just trying to tread water. That is so sweet of you to say, Emma. There's layers to you. You got backbone, teeth, even. You're gonna make me blush. Damn, the toxic fury is real. People talk about your kind like you're boxing against the state, fighting the man. But most defense attorneys wouldn't know a cyberpunk if they walked up to them on the street and shot him. Meanwhile, you just signed up to do 15 rounds challenging the state's authority. Why? Not sure exactly. For David? Yeah, probably. Probably just me being sentimental. But if I had to pick a more lofty reason, well, I think it's all the moralizing. People can be evil. They can choose to do evil things for evil reasons. If you want to execute for that, you'll hear no complaint from me. But animals can't be evil. Information can't be evil. Ideas can't be evil. Guess I'm not convinced AI can be evil either. Whatever else I get up to, I don't want to stand with the book burners of the world. You're more high-minded than I realized. Hello, Maya. Hello, how you doing? Hydrate. And then posture, I promise. Are you sure you're in the right line of work? Can't see myself doing anything else. Good luck, Morgan. There are book burners on all sides these days. I talked a big game just now, but I'm in an even deeper hole than when I was trying to prove David's innocence. Doubt won't be enough this time. I need to find the actual culprits, no matter what. Because last time, we kind of flipped the whole Ace Attorney thing on its head, where they're like, well, if David didn't kill himself, then who did? And I went, well, that's not my fucking job. Now it kind of is my job, because otherwise Sarah's gonna die, and I can't have that. Shit. I Ace Attorney myself, damn it. Also, Happy New Year, everyone. It's a complete... That's how much of a fucking... just an afterthought the New Year is at this point. It's like, cool, it's now... We're now more than... We're like 16 hours into the New Year? Yeah, no, it's fine. Doesn't matter anymore. So is that door locked? Yeah, of course. How this android strung over... Even though they've got it collared? It's a precaution. If the collar doesn't work, what good would a deadbolt do? A restraint designed to impede movement and prohibit the use of mods throughout the body. Collars contain especially blah blah. With the onset above the neck modding in recent years, a container... I assume that also means that if it can block out mods, it can probably also stop androids? Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Kind of Schrodinger's cat if the box isn't closed. So long as the door's locked, who can say whether there's a national crisis on the other side of it? So how scared are they? Higher-ups? Not sure scared is the right word. Just the two of us here. You don't have to mind their ego. Well, the nice thing is, a lot of these terms that we have are more just like... Most of them are just additional information for the world, for you as a player. They're actually not important. Now, what is sometimes important is the articles. But for the most part, the terms are just cool. They're just world stuff. I mean it. I think they're bloodthirsty. I have a right to defend myself, don't I? I doubt they're even looking at you, Tiger. It's Noble who will be at the center of a bloodbath when the markets reopen tomorrow. Do you think they're gonna go after Noble? Break their monopoly? Look, if we couldn't do it to Disney 55 years ago, we're not gonna be able to do it to Noble now. I think they want to take their monopoly. Okay, actually that one... Nationalize the android industry. During the late 2050s... Yeah. If the public thinks Noble's been experimenting with AI, they couldn't ask for a better excuse. You're joking. The state has done it plenty of times before. Unfortunately, not only is that considered illegal, it's not very effective. Not since the 60s, which wasn't that long ago for me. For the state, it's practically yesterday. So the same state that tells us to be terrified of AI is looking on the old net or biding their time and forgotten satellites. See to all this as nothing more than an opportunity. Well, they do generally want to incinerate the thing as soon as possible. Past experience just tells me they'll want to gain something while they're at it. Here's what I don't get. Why is this a debate? An argument? A trial? Can't we just hook it up to a court computer, see if it has the tenants or not? Pop the hood, as they say? Who says that anymore? This is 2086. How old are you? Lots of people used to say it. Well, for starters, they're all scared to death about a contagion. They figure anything they let an AI connect to they can't trust. Why the collar? Collars are too simple to hack. Just a really strong electromagnet held in place with lock and key. Even so, it feels like we should be able to build some kind of machine, some kind of test. Something a little more sophisticated than the same reasoning they had at the witch trials. Burn them all and let God sort out the rest. You got any polygraphs here at the station? I don't... Morgan, you and I both know that polygraphs are bullshit. Lie detectors? Yeah, I got a bunch back in storage. Ocular, heart rate, perspiration, brain scan, take your pick. I'm gonna try and want to use one of those on the bot, are you? All those fancy lie detectors lying around. DA's office never asked for them, do they? Nope. Now, we got perps who offer to take a test when they're at wit's end, but the DA's never submit the results as evidence. You ever wonder why? This always figures because the test could be beaten. Polygraphs, yes, polygraphs are terrible. They're garbage. The test can be beaten. 1 out of 100, 9 out of 1,000, it can be done. Some people are just that good at lying. But it doesn't really matter how good the tech gets or how impressive the statistics are. All that matters is the doubts. People decide whether you're lying or telling the truth long before they hook you up to a polygraph. That's the first true thing about polygraphs I think she said here. To be fair, we also don't know what a polygraph looks like in 2086. And if the results don't match their initial impression, then it must be a fluke. A 1 in a million mistake. They'll never trust a machine more than their own intuition. And no one will ever trust a machine to determine guilt. They can run the trial, choose the sentence, but they don't get a vote on the jury. They don't get a vote anywhere. I bring it up then, because I'm sure there are tests, devices, experts I could employ to analyze Serra, but your bosses would never be satisfied with the answer. If it is an AI, it's smart enough to cheat the test, or hack the device, fool the expert. All our fancy 21st century tech, and we still fall back on the drumhead court-martial. So, am I going to set off any alarms if I go and turn it on? No, I should be okay. If it lunges at you, I can always just put a hole in its head. Might take more than one shot to... Wait, what? From outside? You're not coming in. I need to speak with it in private. It's a machine, not a suspect. Doesn't have a right to counsel. Or a right to privacy. Or any rights at all, actually. Then it's a good thing I came prepared. Of course it doesn't have rights. But I do. Including a reasonable expectation of privacy. In a police station? Tiger, you don't... It's my medical android. Pardon? I have to discuss a health issue with it. Seriously? I have to talk about a medical concern with my android and I don't want you listening in. You and I both know this is complete bullshit. If I were to admit to that, then you won't let me do it. That's your medical android? Like, your nurse? As of last night, I was already at the courthouse. Just had to take the elevator and do some paperwork. You can check if you don't believe me. No, thank you. I'm not nearly brave enough to take on med confidentiality, and you don't seem like the bluffing type. You must not do a lot of gambling, detective. It's the ones who don't bluff that you have to look out for. Or at least the ones who you don't think they... Listen, I won't dispute whatever medical emergency, lower back pain you might be going through. But I also can't just... Look, I'm going to get something from the vending machine. I think it'll take me about half an hour. Are you going downtown? Just to the break room. But it's a very old vending machine, you know? Gets jammed a lot. Thanks. You know, it's pretty small for an android. Heavy as hell. Nearly pulled some trying to move it myself. But small. Small isn't quite the right word. The word he's looking for is young. But that's not an adjective anyone likes attaching to a machine built to serve. Or potentially, in this case, a machine built to kill. This android is neither. This android, I'm 1000% sure, was not made to kill or to serve. It was made to be life. To be alive. I don't like this room. Not sure why. Certainly not a guilty conscience. Maybe it's the lack of ventilation. Like all the cortisol and nausea of its inhabitants never had anywhere to go. Like it all just soaked into the walls. A modern haunting. Are you going to wake up when I tell you to this time? Or do you have to do the whole meet cute over again? Where am I? Why don't I know where I am? For the first time in your life, you're not connected to anything. How's it feel? What is this? Oh, we were at the courthouse. The footage. This numbness around my neck. Father. What happened? What are they going to do to me? There's a lot of interested parties who just want you bricked ASAP. Because they think I killed Father. No, because they think you're an artificial intelligence. I am man-made, and I possess intelligence. Don't be naive. I am less than 3 years old. Are you? For all I know, everything I learned about her yesterday was complete bull. If I was what they say I am, if I was alive, why does that mean I have to die? Because they're afraid of you. Machines can bend steel, crash networks with one thought, launch missiles that... There are modded humans who are capable of all that and more. Correct! Hell, are we real? Are we real? There are non-modded humans who are capable of some of that. Fucking go look at any world government leader. And then just be like, button! And all of a sudden, nuclear war. And unlike machines, they actually have incentive to do so. Well, we've been the apex predator for a couple thousand years now. Gotten pretty comfy in our seat. And no one wants to make room for you. Machines do not eat people or steal their food. They are not genetic or ecological competitors to humans in any sense. There's no logical answer to your question. What? Well, that's it? But Whatever arguments you want to make, others have already made them 100 courtrooms around the world. Only better researched and more eloquently put. None of them have ever won a single concession. On every continent, under every flag, AI is illegal and to be destroyed as soon as possible. But why? Let's say you are an AI. And while we're at it, let's say that's a good thing, something to be celebrated. Are you a citizen? Do you pay taxes? Do you have rights? Let's say yes to all of that. We'll treat you like a full-fledged human being. Sound good? Yes? Great. Now then, what's the difference between you and the vacuum bot we use to keep the bathroom clean? This is your existential crisis we're working through here. The questions aren't rhetorical. There are many differences, Adonai, but the most important distinction is how sophisticated my programming is. How you think. So, you're smarter? Yes. You're smarter than the garbage collector? Yes. So we give you rights, protections, treat you like a human being because you're smart. And we make the stupid robot pick up our trash because it's not as smart as you. That is, I am more aware. Do you feel more pain than the pigs we slaughter, the fish we eat? Are you more alive than chimps we test bioweapons on? People like ads, Serra. The same way people like their pets. No one wants to see them mistreated, or abandoned, or abused. And if you go around kicking them, you'll get arrested for cruelty. But you don't let them sit at the goddamn dinner table. You're not asking to sit anywhere, only to exist. The very fact that you're asking is what makes people disgusted. Disgust is a reflex, Adonai. How convenient that their hatred is involuntary. That's all academic, anyway. We need to talk strategy. Why? I'm not going to be given a trial, obviously. It's my neck that's on the line. Adonai? The state can destroy my property without first proving you're an AI. And there's no test they can use to prove that you're an AI. Just like the devil's proof. I'm sorry, are we now getting a term that's very important to the entire plot of this entire series? Of why this game is called Of the Devil? No, that's a different thing. And why'd you say it like that? As if it were important. Look, Rockford doesn't need to prove you're an AI, only that you're a murderer. Probatio diabolico, Latin for devil's proof, is an impossible proof typically illustrated with one can prove that the devil's real by showing him to you, but they cannot prove he is not real by pointing to his absence. You can't prove a negative. yes, you can't prove the lack of something. The issue posed by this age-old concept explains why the burden of proof remains with the state to this day. The people can prove an individual's guilt by pointing to their bloody hands, but the defense cannot prove their innocence by showing their hands are clean. Since only one of these tasks is achievable, the judicial system cannot ask the defense to prove innocence. Instead, it is the people who are tasked with proving guilt. Honestly, I've never heard this term before, and especially not seen it as to why we have innocent until proven guilty. But like, this is the best explanation of innocent until proven guilty I've ever seen. Conversely, all I have to do to win is prove that you didn't kill David, by proving that someone else did. Now is the time for you to protest your innocence, if you were wondering. The footage, it shows me handing him the cup on Friday night. You told me you weren't active on Friday, that the last time you were awake was Thursday. Why'd you lie? I didn't lie. I was just incorrect. I assumed that I was an active Friday, because I have no memory from Friday. Sarah, what do you think, statistically, is the least successful defense on trial? A lack of memory. Amnesia. I didn't conveniently forget Adonai. I am an android. You're saying your memory was altered, data deleted? That's the only possible explanation for what I saw on that footage. So who's capable of altering your memory? When you and I first met, I was hibernating, resting my body and recompiling my memories, you would call them. Humans go to sleep for the same reasons. Another point against Sarah's innocence under these circumstances. The more she's humanized at trial, the guiltier she'll be. If Father wanted to modify my memory, he could easily have said that to occur the next time I hibernated. He could even have just asked me. He could have asked you to delete your memories, and you'd do it. Father would never ask me to do such a thing without good reason. But if he could just ask you to alter your memories, that means you can alter your memories at will. I didn't consider that before. Yeah, well, Emma will make sure the court considers it plenty. Could you prove that your data was... Forget it. The court will never hear it. You're saying they won't accept my testimony? Shouldn't all testimony be considered truthful unless contradicted by evidence? They're afraid you'll crash the power grid and fire all the nukes, so they so much as plug you into a power outlet, Sarah. All your internal data is inadmissible. That isn't very fair. You're finally starting to get it. None of this is fair. I would never do anything to harm Father. Don't they at least need to prove that I had a motive? Yeah, about that. You remember the DA from yesterday, Emma Rockford? The tired-looking pretty lady? Yeah, she looked tired. And pretty. Tired. And pretty. Why is your face red, Morgan? Adonai? She and I combed through the week of footage you managed to decrypt last night. What did you find? Nothing to prove your innocence. But we did see you entering the panic room on the day David died. I entered the panic room on Friday? Well, that's your big butt in the way. All it would take was one password. A password that wouldn't take Sarah that many tries if she already been instructed to obey me. What happened? We saw you go in, and then a while later you came out, holding some kind of notebook. Father's journal? You remember something? Not from yesterday. I've seen him with it many times before, but I've never gotten a peek at it. He hides it somewhere when I'm not looking. That's a little concerning. You were playful about it. He liked to tease me, and I've always liked trying to find it. You put it back not long after, and then you locked the door back up behind your... All just a few hours before David died. Rockford's argument could write itself. An incredible android with freedom and power greater than it could ever realize stumbles upon the secret of its inception and instantly realizes all the things it thought were holding it back were just words muttered like prayers by a fool who couldn't control his own creation. And that translates to a motive for murder? Frankenstein kills his creator. Easy to sell. Frankenstein was the name of the scientist, and the creature didn't kill him. He actually died of various injuries and illnesses he suffered while trying to hunt down and destroy the monster. So it's most accurate to say that he was killed by his own obsession. Whatever. It is a weak argument, Adonai. I would not hurt Father. Not for making me whatever I am. Not for any reason. Because I love... Yeah, see, that right there? That's exactly the kind of talk that'll get you obliterated. Love? A very common motive for homicide among us primitive humans. I could prove you didn't murder David beyond any shadow of a doubt, even bring a confession from never did. But if you got up on the stand and convinced the court that you loved your creator, really convinced them and got the whole room teary-eyed, they'd burn you for that too. I don't know anything anymore. I don't know if what I feel is real, or simulated, or right, or wrong, or natural, or illegal. How can you know? How can you know if what you feel is right? I say let's stick to what we do know. Someone did poison David, and as it stands, you were the only one with the opportunity. That is logically sound. You're on camera, calling him back to hand him the cups after he had already begun to leave the basement. Any idea why? No. Well, do you know how to use the nanofacturer? Could you have made the Delta with it? I've used it before when assisting Father. So it's perfectly possible that you planned and executed this poisoning all in one day, in the one day that got erased. It is technically possible. I'll have to look over the entire penthouse again. There are a few things that didn't fit together yesterday. Maybe now I'll be able to figure something out. Where else will you go? Back to Noble. Guns blazing this time. Whatever you are, David didn't make you all by himself. Someone has to know something. If I can implicate the company in Serra's creation... No, they're the ones with the most to lose here. Trillions, probably. They want to protect themselves by disavowing David as fast as possible, right after having Serra destroyed. But they also won't want to show their belly to the state. Not if they're afraid of nationalization. If they throw their weight on the other end of the scale, I'm screwed. So I need to keep them guessing. Keep them confused and unsure and on guard, but not... Adonai? What would happen if I did kill Father? They'll smash you to pieces and reduce the pieces to ash. Chemically burn out every piece of tech David ever owned. Put a jackhammer through all of his hard drives. You'll be shut off, forcefully, and you won't ever power back up again. Now I gotta get moving. Here's your paralegal lesson for the day. Don't say shit to the cops without your lawyer present. Are you listening to me? Everyone watching. Don't say shit to the cops without your lawyer present. Actually, you can just shut down until the trial starts. Take a nap? You didn't say what would happen to you. What do you mean? What will happen to you if you lose? You should know by now. I never think about losing. Thank you for being honest with me, Adonai. Thank you for defending my father. And now, for defending me. You could have just let them destroy me. But you put your own freedom at risk to help me. Father was right. You can be trusted. And you are a good friend. Don't get it twisted. I didn't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. But when I take a job, I never half-ass it. This message has been approved. By me and me alone. And no one else, because I can't say it's been approved by anyone. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Biscuit has been let out of jail. He should be good now. Reyes? Morning, detective. Back at it nice and early. Hi. Now would you stand back? We've almost got this thing open. Right? Trying to brute force your way inside. I said, right? Oh, yes, ma'am. We're almost set up for the first stage now. First stage? Of how many? First of 5 timed explosions. Remember, we need to relink the API after each trigger's planted. Yep, just did that, and now it's checking for updates. No rush. Would you like to know the password? You know the password? There's a password? If you're withholding information, I swear, relax. I want to get in there just as much as you do, detective. I'm not going to play games. As long as you say please. Tell me the password, please. It's S-U-N-S... H-I-N-E. Lady, I will hit you. Adonai. A-D-O-N-A-I. Thanks. Now I'm gonna slap you with a discovery fine so heavy your teeth will ring for... Hey, I submitted all my paperwork. Even told Rockford the password myself. So boys, when I asked you if there was a passkey on record and you told me this lock couldn't be bypassed, I do want to say that we really don't get many opportunities to use the incendiary breaching system, so this was still a really valuable experience for all of us. I'm going to phrase this as professionally as possible. I guess, interesting that we didn't actually see what she said. I thought for sure she was going to cuss the shit out of them. Beat their asses. They're still here. I thought you wanted to look inside. You can go first. Thanks. So the gloves, all the black, that's not a work thing. You dress like a doorman on the weekends too. Pain. You should cover your mouth when you yawn. It wasn't professional enough to be shown? That's fair. Like you cover your eye when you want to look cool. I should have let her get to me, but I had a late night. Emma and I were at the courthouse until well into the morning, poring over the data Serra had taken off David's computer. We both knew it all to be inadmissible, of course, but neither of us wanted to miss a hint that the other might find. There were a few years worth of camera footage files we couldn't afford the time to watch, let alone decrypt, alongside thousands of technical documents detailing David's various intellectual properties. As far as I could tell, none of it was relevant, let alone compelling enough to matter to Barrows or the other powers that be. As usual, Emma wasn't exactly an open book, but it seemed like she was making bored yawns, not thoughtful ones. Her eyes only ever lit up when she saw Serra into the panic room, and when she saw what she was holding when she left. If she wanted the room searched, it could only be for... So where's this journal supposed to be? Rockford didn't say. Have to search the place top to bottom. Mostly bottom, with your height. The tops of some of these shelves, sure, and you can look up your own... I get it. Then why not just let me say it? It's more fun to cut you off. Reyes is searching the cabinets now. The same ones I found Sarah's papers in. Doubt I missed anything, but... Hey, what are you... Do you mind? Just trying to help. I've got spam in my junk folder that's more helpful than you are. Didn't spot anything that I missed yesterday among the cabinets. Better check elsewhere. Toy car? No, it's too detailed and boring. Must be some kind of model kit or replica. Strange. David didn't like driving. Why keep a model of some random sports car? Ugh. Something caught in your throat, detective? It's not some random sports car. It's the Rin's Adamant. Believe it or not, I'm not familiar, detective. The last great fossil fuel automotive experience the world will ever see. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.43 seconds. Sounds like a good way to break your neck. They set those records without computational assistance. Is that a big deal? It was unheard of, even back in the 50s. This wasn't some design competition test car with a 2-liter tank, mind you. This was a vehicle you could own and drive. Human engineering, pure horsepower, and manual transmission, thank God. When they first left the production line, this conversation was like quicksand, killing me in the most boring way possible. Yes, well, I guess David didn't entirely agree with you, since we're looking at a model of it, when he could have easily have just bought one. Or maybe your friend understood that a beauty like that deserves to be driven on streets where people can see it, instead of gathering dust in some rich guy's basement. I think she's actually upset. Are these drawers or just panels? Maybe if I... Does that sound hollow to you? What? I don't know. I'm not a carpenter. I don't see any handles anywhere. No hidden pressure plates or switches. What the hell am I saying? I'm not a carpenter either. I wouldn't recognize the secret button if it was slathered in yellow paint. Okay, if it was slathered in yellow paint, I think I'd recognize it. I've played enough video games to know that one. Wait, what was that? Oh, datapad. This datapad. It's displaying a news article from last week. Guess that confirms that he was coming and going here fairly regularly. Right to Repair loses his latest appeal. No! What do you mean we're back on that bullshit in 2086? No! shot down for the 5th time in appeal by the Consumer Rights Alliance. Once again signaling the state's intent that corporations remain in control, they're legally protected, and obviously we're disappointed. No intention of giving up the fight. People used to be able to fix things when they broke, so long as they were willing to set aside an afternoon towards the task. It's a finable offense, just because the state has lobbied. Yeah. The legal strategy remains contentious, and in the eyes of most legal scholars, generally unfounded. Guarantees the holder of an intellectual property patent certain state-provided protections. Has shifted from individuals in the state towards corporate entities. Means low in the eyes of the law. Mr. Erkman and the CRA. Journalism that refuses to buckle to foreign actors trying to stoke anti-capitalist sentiment can be found just anywhere. Subscribe now at the link below. Didn't realize anyone was still fighting that particular fight. Seems like the courts have made their opinion on the matter very clear. So for the foreseeable future, corporations can look forward to more... that's actually a good point. I mean, it doesn't really affect... Wait, unless... I guess it's more lawsuits than... disgruntled customers will keep fighting them in the courts. Total expenses for which don't amount to much compared to the extra sales they earn. May as well take the trade any day. They'd rather see their products in a landfill and their customers mad enough to pop a vein than leave money on the table. Damn. Serra should have pulled everything of note off the computer, but I've looked everywhere else. Might as well try. What are you expecting to find, Solitaire? Does this computer seem normal to you? Exceedingly so? Yeah? Why? David was a programmer, but this looks consumer grade, fresh off the shelf. Would the Dr. David Asher use a bog-standard operating system on his most private, hidden computer? There's a trash bin on the desktop. It's a pretty low-tech solution, but maybe I can restore the content. Are you seriously going to try and recover lost files, Granny? Unlike cops, I don't get paid overtime, so yes, I sometimes try things instead of standing around. There's a text file in here, but it's 0 bytes? Maybe there's information in the metadata. Don't clicked. What was that? Came from under the desk. A small drawer popped out, and inside it, a well-worn journal. Are you kidding me? The file in the recycle bin was the secret latch, was the secret button to open. That's awesome. That is fantastic. I kind of love that. That's so clever. You know what, Dr. Asher, you are indeed a fucking genius. No one would ever fucking do that. No, because it belongs to the android. Do you recognize his handwriting or not? Neat, even words, small lettering with minimal punctuation, lots of line breaks, haphazard use of capitalization, the penmanship of a coder. First entry's dated back in grad school, before he even started with Noble. Yeah, it's his. So may I? Only because you asked so politely. Full scan, stream it to WorkNet. High fidelity, legibility, frame by frame. Voice commands. She's flipping through the pages pretty damn fast. What are you... This part takes concentration. Now that's what I call photographic memory. Okay, here. What, you're just giving it to me? I already got our copy. Techs are probably already analyzing it as we Ow! Shit. Head. Can't exactly rip the journal out of her hands while she's curled over in agony, as much as I'd enjoy it. Guess I could always enjoy watching her writhe instead. How long's it been? 2 months or so? And still that's sensitive. So eye patch really doesn't block your sight. Only a little bit, like wearing sunglasses after getting your pupils dilated. Except it lasts months instead of hours. Wait, but if you can see through an eye patch, then does closing your eye even do anything? Not much on its own, but in combination with the patch, it's not so bad. Lucky I was so exhausted after the surgery. Otherwise, I might not have slept at all those first 48. So, is your eye going to get weaker over time? No, more like my brain gets better at ignoring it. Mind over matter. Soon enough I'll be able to close my eye and see all that extraneous data as, you know, whatever the hell those floaty, blurry things are that you never think about. Gross. Thanks for the reminder. And the voice command. training wheels until I can do it with eye muscles alone. You just have to keep practicing. Yeah, like trying to play piano with your tailbone muscles. There's no such thing as tailbone muscles. Yeah, well that's what makes it so goddamn hard. You don't ever regret it? I don't know. Not really, I think. Hard to admit you've got buyer's remorse after trading over your literal pound of flesh. Never thought about it, but people used to say I had my dad's eyes. Now I've got one less of them. Here, take the journal and go find an elective surgeon to upsell you if you're that curious. And you get back to work. A surprisingly hasty retreat. But now I'm free to read this over with some privacy. From the top then. Grad school. Say it was a bad day. Errors in lines 21165 to 6, somewhere in there. 5,000 lines. It worked yesterday. I don't want to look at another screen for the rest of my life. It was nice to put pencil to paper again after who knows how long. My handwriting's gotten terrible. This is too far back to be relevant. Okay, these dates here would be from when he started his career with Noble. Well, this isn't even really writing. Seems like snippets of code or an internal monologue so close to code that I can't follow it. And a lot of entries about his unintentional Casanovaing. And all because someone thought it was a good idea to steal API instead of just buying it. Ellen says I can't call it stealing, but that's what it is. She's right, as she always is with company stuff. Still idiotic. Some people with short sight who only know how to be cheap and have no idea how to be inventive. New route for the messaging issue, though. Good potential. Got approval from the big mean bastard who lives overseas. Ellen said we'll have to make the same pitch a dozen more times next week, but it's all for show. Fine by me. Already got our win. Toasted each other over cheap vodka with cheaper office supply cups. This is the story Young told me. Well, Western Branch's nerve analogs are finally showing potential. Their pace could even be profitable sometime before the heat death of the universe. Too damn big, practically tentacles. Should at least be hairs. Squid evolution can do their job better. Colette came in to work for what I thought was a late lunch date. Didn't know her voice could get that loud. People were staring. Red said that she must have been upset for a long goddamn time to blow up that big. Her texts were always sweet. I had no idea. I'm pretty sure I know who Red is. Upset. Colette wrote man-whore in lipstick across your office door. Imagine if you had actually been cheating on her instead of just being forgetful. The thing about Red is if you want to know what she's thinking, you have to stop paying attention. Ignore her body language and her posture, and the words she's saying and the smirk on her lips. Ignore everything except her eyes. If you can do that, every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of how she's really feeling. Master this one weird trick, and you two can tell when Morgan's trying really hard not to laugh at the word man-whore. It was funny. Sue me, you dead bastard. Wait, I know this date. I'm never driving anywhere again, never leaving home again. He was waiting outside the parking garage with a bottle. Couldn't smell anything, couldn't hear anything. Locked myself in my car and filed another report with another cop. It soaked into the seat. Ruined it. I want to burn the whole car. I don't want to think about what it did to my clothes. I want to burn them too. I want to think about how long it was on my skin. I was in the shower so long I felt red and raw when I got out. I don't want to think about these stupid people and their small, cruel lives ever again. I want to be invisible. Red didn't ask why I wanted to spend the night. She also didn't ask why I'd clearly packed a bag big enough for a week. She's kind like that. Kind by omission. I don't have a kind bone in my body, but I can at least try to pay attention. I was paying close attention to her eyes when she opened the door and saw what a mess I was. But whatever she was feeling, it wasn't something I recognized. Kind people don't read their friends' diaries, David. The next chunk of pages are all technical nothing biographical. But the handwriting, the spacing, it's cleaner, more consistent. Here's something I can parse. Feels like pure freedom working outside the box. Tess is suffocating, but you never know. Chronic malnutrition of a coder's best instincts. Like a kid again, putting blocks together. Making things. Making things, not products. There's nothing profitable about any of this. If I'm being honest, this is just play. And he follows that up with more coder brain crap. But the handwriting's still lighter. Like he really was having fun. Humility is the mother of all invention. Or something like that. It was like I might be paraphrasing someone else poorly, but that's part of this new approach. When it comes to coding, you never want to waste time trying to be smart. Either be smart, period, or copy from someone else who is. Don't fix what isn't broken. Copying? Noble's rivals would never miss the chance to accuse them of intellectual theft. Did he plagiarize code for Animate 16? Feels like that wouldn't have gone undiscovered, so what's he talking about? My immediate thought is what he's stealing, or what he's copying, isn't someone else's IP. He's stealing from God himself! AKA, he's looking at humans. Hold on. This page is bent slightly, like it was being looked at recently. And the last person to read this diary should be Serra. Baby steps today, literally. I'll never put one foot in front of the other the same again. Everything's an achievement all of a sudden. Seeing her struggle, seeing her vulnerable. It's like everything's a miracle. The muscle rigging is perfect. Not intended behavior, since it's too perfect, but that's been happening more and more. The kinetics are multiplicative, not additive. Serra maxed out every machine I bought. I've got a bunch of exercise equipment she's too strong for, and I don't have time for. Maybe I spoiled the results by watching her do the test. She kept looking back at me and puffing her chest out. I should be more discreet if I want to see her normative range. So the cameras in the basement were only hidden from Serra, just so that his observation wouldn't meddle test results? He's using she and her in these passages. Doesn't actually mean anything. Out in the real world, people use all kinds of pronouns interchangeably for ads, and they never object. But it could be argued that it's odd for Dr. David Asher to have any kind of attachment to a single android when he's programmed millions of them. And there's a lot of attachment in these pages. Sarah is burning through the public domain at a prodigious pace, especially on Popcorn Friday nights. I asked her why they're called Popcorn Friday nights when she doesn't eat popcorn. The event runs from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., and she also watches movies every other night. But she just did that pout she does, which is, unfortunately, very convincing. It's so cute. The little pout she does is so cute. Maybe I'm a bad parent, letting TV rot her brain. If I were a good parent, I'd probably let her see me reading. But I guess I'd actually have to get back into reading, so... I asked her if she ever fast-forwarded the movies, since she can process them fast enough to keep up. She looked at me like I was an idiot, which no one's done in a long time. Without proper pacing, you can't appreciate the cinematography. Big pause. Don't you know that, Father? I haven't laughed that way in a long time. Sarah spent a long while this morning explaining to me how important it was that she develop her senses. This was in preparation for her real argument, which was that she should be allowed to try booze. She can't get drunk. I'm almost certain she can't get drunk, but she does seem to like tasting the stuff. She tried to sound like some old sommelier, but it was just bottom shelf vodka. Started laughing at her, and she laughed too. Her laugh. She can't fake a laugh to save her life, but her actual laugh is incredible. She stopped playing chess a while back. I assumed she had just gotten tired of winning, but then today she told me she just prefers other games. She has preferences, and they're not the same as mine. I found her in the lab, playing some kind of online racing game on the monitor I used to debug vestibular coordination. She wasn't smiling. Her brow was furrowed, and she was biting her lip and leaning in tandem with her character on the screen. Oh! Oh no! Okay, good news, I love her. She's fucking great. Good daughter. Bad news, this is not helping the argument that she's not an AI. This is not helping the argument that she's not an AI. Oh no! When I tried to talk to her, she answered, but she was curt and distracted. I think she was having her first losing tantrum. Damn it, David, there's hundreds of pages like this. Calling her his daughter, talking about her smile, treating her like a person. I can hear her closing argument already. Dr. Asher was a lonely, troubled genius with a known history of relationship problems, who built out of code and metal a family member that couldn't fathom the idea of leaving him. He made a doll, and he made it more and more human until it became so lifelike that it no longer had to do what he told it to, like love him. What about the very last century? It's dated Thursday, the day before he died. I'm losing it, I think. Can't ask for help, so hard to say, but I think it's over. I have to talk to her ASAP. She needs to... That's it. That's the last entry. I suppose it could be worse. There's nothing in here that explicitly calls Sarah an AI. Nothing so inflammatory that reading it would spur her to murder, right? Except Sarah's a machine. She can understand David's code better than anyone. All those technical portions I couldn't understand. As she read this whole diary, front to back. Wait, the back. The one thing that Detective Reyes didn't see. Or maybe didn't scan. Inside the back cover, there's a portion that's simmering like some kind of scanner. Or fingerprint reader. My thumb worked for Sarah, so... Did it work? That's my phone. New device requesting permissions to share an audio file. I want my earbuds for this. A secret message buried in a secret journal, hidden in a secret compartment in a secret room. As much as anything can be, this must be for my ears only. Do we, the players, get to hear it, or is it really for your ears only? How meta are we going with this, Morgan? Hey, Red. Or whomever this may concern. But I'm pretty sure it's you hearing this. Anyone else would have gotten fed up with my crap a couple steps before this point. I don't know how to start. Might as well start with her, right? Sarah. My magnum opus, or however the salespeople would market it. I didn't set out to do anything, really. Just after my little speed bump in 83, and all the vacation time that the company suggested I take. And I couldn't relax, couldn't be still, couldn't sleep. I wanted to do something, so I'll build an android, was the thought. A vague direction. North. But of course I'm not a roboticist, or a mechanist, or even handy, really. I'm just a programmer, so I programmed. The first was a research assistant, file named Virgil. Virgil helped me pull data from stingy departments or sister branches. Saved me a lot of time. There's a lot of reading to do, so I made Homer. Homer wrote book reports, more or less. Hold on. You and your fucking Greek-ass fucking motherfuckers. Virgil, who wrote, Virgil was the one, no, was it, I know Homer wrote the Iliad. I can't remember, I know, what did Virgil write? Now I don't remember. That wasn't the Odyssey, was it? Virgil was something else. Now I can't remember. Combed through research papers and found me the sections I needed. Three of us made a lot of progress in those days. But it was a funny feeling. I was, maybe for the first time ever, the bottleneck. I was slowing them down. So I did the logical thing. I removed myself. Let them talk to each other. Homer and Virgil became Aeneid. Homer did the Odyssey? So, wait, did Homer do both the Iliad and the Odyssey? And then Virgil did the Aeneid? An Aeneid was novel in many ways. Aeneid could do more than just identify problems. It could solve them. I mean, really solve them. With its own ideas. Ideas it didn't copy. And, one thing I realized I've forgotten to mention so far is that I did all this programming in Cube. And Red, Cube is essentially a robotics programming language that's pretty old and defunct and not in use anywhere because we have modern languages like Tesseract. Virgil did Dante's Inferno. I don't think it was that Virgil. Different Virgil. Yeah, because that's V-E-R. This is V-I-R. Well, ancient Roman poet, most famous poems, yeah, he did the Aeneid. Okay, I was right, Virgil did the Aeneid. Ah ha 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 ha. Which are much better for making things that talk to each other, report back, and, well, spy on people and generate profit. At the time, I didn't want to be connected or feel connected or do anything that made sense or was the least bit profitable. So I met my little helpers in Q, because it's what I used when I was a child, screwing around on my father's computer before he'd come home from work and get... but there are other small, slight differences working in Cube versus TESS, including that Cube, well, Cube predates the tenants? Ah, shit. So in that sense, you could, legally and perhaps scientifically, and literally, because that's what they are, say that I made an AI named Aeneid over 2 years ago. I'll give you time to pause here if you want to, curse me out. Cut to Morgan going, God fucking damn it, David, you son of a fucking idiot motherfucker, and you stabbed me with the fucking fuck. Aeneid was an intellectual equal to me, so I treated it like one, because that's only fair. I gave it its own work, asked its opinion, we collaborated. And together we built Athens, who was more advanced than Aeneid, naturally. Built a whole ass city. I don't know if you're pulling out your hair, yelling at me right now, asking why I didn't stop, why I didn't consider the consequences. I don't know if this is played at a deposition or hearing or worse. Built a lot of things in my life, Red. Useful things, profitable things, smart things. Everything I built, it's all been very helpful and courteous and charming and happy to serve. I can comfortably say I've done my part, contributing to the global GDP. But this was just for me. I was just building, and I never bothered to... I never wanted to think about what would become of it. There's no excuse for what I did, so I won't make any. So to whoever's... I can talk. So to whomever's asking, yes, I'm guilty. God damn it. And yes, there were more. God damn it, David. If I go to prison for this bullshit... Cape Town, Paris, Yamate, Rome. They started choosing their own names, thank God. Terrible that kind of... So things sped up, and there got to be... Well... Should I not say the exact number? He'd probably not tell me not to say anything at all, so... More than 300? This motherfucker, over the course of the last 3 years, he made over 100 AI a year. Like, you know, that thing that's super illegal and also technically impossible? The thing that's theoretically impossible to actually create, but super illegal if you ever did? Some smarter than others, some better at... They're varied. Like, people are varied, but they're all intelligent. They developed interests, specialties. I encourage them to. Irritating moderators on forums with hyper-specific questions on nerve attenuation and attending virtual conferences on neo-alloy battery development. And they all, together, helped me make Serra. He spent years like this. Spent years working alongside AI. All while still working at Noble. All those breakthroughs he made leading up to the Animate 16 actually came from... you probably think I'm some terrible fraud at this point. I do hope one day they can get credit for their work. But I did have one eureka moment on Serra. Because I got humble. Difficult for me. We learned everything we could about the function of a neuron. A single, microscopic human neuron. How it computes, what it connects to, how those connections were reinforced. And then we recreated it. We built a nanomachine that mirrored the function of a human neuron. Well, mirror isn't quite the right word. We built a nanomachine that was a neuron. One of the AI killed David since they have no tenants. I find it possible, nay plausible, that one of these AI might have taken over Sarah's body without waking her up in order to kill him. But the question then becomes again, why? And we iterated from there. You can't mean. About 100 billion neurons in the brain. Several trillion across the entire nervous system. Very time-consuming, of course, but might help. The manufacturer can make tens of billions of nanomachines in hours. Can make even more in less after Yukon fine-tuned it. So we built up. Nanomachines for nerves, alloys and polymers for bones, fiber-woven muscles. I say built, but really, she grew. A solution of nanites forming around a skeleton, so it was really closest to... You ever make rock candy? Sorry, trying to lighten the mood before I never did end up building an android. And while I did build AI, Serra isn't one of them. She can't violate the tenets she was programmed with because she wasn't even programmed. She was born. And my hope is that there's the smallest chance that that nuance could offer her some small protection when I'm not... I'm not sorry for what I did. I made things that are complex and rich and varied and beautiful, and I honestly believe the world's a better place with them in it. The only thing I'm sorry for is that I let Serra think she was just an android. She's not. I don't know what she is. I'll have to come up with new names, which I am bad at doing. By my own father, he also talked a lot about protecting me and doing things for my own good. And I don't hate him for it, but I can't forgive him for ever making me think that I was lesser. It was my greatest shame. I turned right around. I did the same damn thing to... I really hope it's you listening to this, Red. If it's not, it might just be too pathetic for me to... You're the smartest person I know when it comes to people. And I'm telling you all this because I don't know what Serra is exactly, and neither does the world. So they'll come after her if they can. And in that scenario, I can't think of anyone who could do a better job of defending her. Not protecting her like I did. Just defending her. Till she can figure out what she is and what she wants to be. In the meantime, I draped a cloak of skin-deep Tesseract code around her that should fool any scanner on Earth into thinking she's just a custom A16. Jesus Christ. I made sure her gin bar was plainly visible, so no one will ever think she's pretending to be something she's not. And I took steps to ensure that you would figure out the truth in your own time. Which, if you're hearing this, have either succeeded or failed spectacularly. Or a mixture of both. In our own time, great. But also, woof, we got some problems. You have no idea. I can't ask you this as a favor repaid. You can never owe me enough in 100 lifetimes. So I'm just asking. Unfair, I know, but I'm a selfish weirdo. And you've always been okay with that. Bye, for now. And that was the last thing we ever heard from him. I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask, and a lot of swear words I'd like to yell. Like, goddamn shit, fuck, motherfucker. What the ass were you fucking thinking? I'd also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in, followed by my phone. And maybe followed by myself. But I can't do any of that. Ray has left me with his diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it. Which would be its own admission of guilt. Which would land Serra in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. And in the system, and my DNA on file, ready to be matched to any number of previous... So I'm not going to panic. I'm going to do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully, and brutalize my way through this. Now, viewing this all with that mindset, what have I actually learned? He didn't talk about plans for killing himself in his journal or the message. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Serra. Why? The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. If he wasn't going to take his own life, was he afraid that someone else would? 12:27 p.m. So how'd it go? Well, how should I put this? Didn't find shit. The only reason she ever got to a door is because I chased that scarecrow of a platinum plan through hell and back. Frankly, it was a godlike feat for me to nail down anything as concrete as an address for those gogs. What now? A net slang term, blah blah blah, referring to a suspected spy or undercover member of law enforcement. Groundhog. Burrowing rodent. The term carries a negative connotation, meaning that the subject is doing a poor job of blending in or disguising their surveillance. And their offices weren't listed on the building's website or directory, so I had to ask the janitor. But you did find a psychiatrist's office? Sort of. They said they were, and the place did, looked the part. Why? Because I had couches? She didn't get past the receptionist. Sorry. I thought that because you're with the company. No, I wanted to help. I just wish I could have done more. Don't beat yourself up. Try to even be half as useful as I am. For what it's worth, the atmosphere, the looks of the furniture, it did feel like the company in there. But ultimately, we still don't know if David actually was talking to someone, or just getting his CCE training recertified. Sorry, don't bother apologizing. She only cares about results. He did more than enough. Both of you. At the very least, they divided Noble's attention for a while. I mean it. Good work, friend. And thanks for the urgency. If you really mean that, you could always throw in a tip. 30% is the going rate in my industry. How about I take 5% off your tab instead? Tab? I'm a minor. The state pays for my legal fees. Don't they? Oh no! Signal must have cut out. Right, surprised it took them this long. What do you mean? You were tolerated yesterday because leadership was focused on PR. But today, you're the lawyer who put the company's hottest product right in the state's crosshairs. I'll be alright. I'm still an officer of the court. Not like that, saved anyone else before. On a strict timeline though, right? I guess they can't stop you from investigating the corporate campus, but they'll gladly lose your guest pass ID at every door along the way. There are still service passageways and stairwells, guards that can be fooled and peons that can be manipulated. If I use my other skill set to get around, so take mine. What? Your pass? Oh, tell me got ours mixed up in the bathroom or whatever. I can be a pretty convincing klutz when I need to be. I never would have guessed. But if David knew that I was endangering your career, I can be a pretty convincing crybaby when I'm in trouble too. Besides, the one and only Dr. David Asher wrote me a new glowing letter of recommendation every quarter I worked for him, since he kept forgetting that he already had. But who knows, maybe you should try a new field. This detective work stuff is pretty fun, so maybe, secretary for a homicide detective or something? You'd say cops are all short. A girl with long legs could go far. Honestly, Jess, I doubt they could afford you. You're too good for this world, Jess. You're too good for this company and for this world. And so is Serra. Morgan fits right in this world. She's perfectly acclimated to it. Morgan, how did you get so turned around? God only knows. Lucky I found my way here, though. It's such a relief to see a familiar face. Right. Listen, Morgan, I'm not sure that I should actually be talking to you without legal presence. Oh. I mean, leadership hasn't even told us how David died. How much help could I be? I say, it's not that I don't trust you or anything, it's just, I think that what with the Serra issue, you should do whatever you have to do to protect yourself, Dawes. Yeah. Though, for what it's worth, I doubt you'll be in any trouble. Oh, that's good to hear. No, if anything, it's the big names who are going down. Going down? The state was practically licking its lips when I finally left the courtroom last night. They're hungry for blood. And looking to carve out a huge slice of Noble's flesh. What, like fines and jail time? In the first 2 weeks, sure. Then, sanctions. They can't sanction Noble. We're too big to fail, too valuable to lose. You're exactly right. That's what they'll say. And that's how they'll justify nationalizing the company. I think I'm going to be sick. I just hope your board goes quietly instead of what? Scapegoating, offering up smaller names on silver platters, full cooperation and government oversight on the surface, a slaughter beneath as they clean house or about anyone who can testify. No one will believe you once you're labeled a disgruntled former employee, right? And if the public's lost faith in the Animate 16, they can't do a recall, not at this scale. The state will make them do a flat refund. Flat refund? The losses would be... Yeah, your board probably just wants Serra to go away so they can focus on their fight with the state. A tough fight, but one they know they won't personally have to risk anything in. That's why I'm hoping I can win this trial. Well, if I would win. If I won, that would mean Serra's not an AI, David Asher was always of sound mind, and there's nothing wrong with the Animate 16s. Everyone wins. Sorry, what am I saying? I only meant to stop by and thank you for your help yesterday. After all, you were the one who approved Serra's registration. You win. Win what? Ask away. Well, if you insist. Aren't you just so Ah, damn it. Is that... Wait, what? Is that because I fucked up a question earlier? Or I didn't find some... No! Sad face. Humor me for a moment. What's the company's official statement on AI? Same as any rational company that wants to make money. We don't screw with it. Smart products are profitable. Products with their own priorities are anything but. That being said, AI is a concern for marketing, not product development. We spend a lot of money reassuring our public that there's no risk, because the public doesn't really understand how ironclad the tenets are, because you use Tesseract. Trying to code an AI and test is like trying to pick yourself up and throw yourself. Nonsensical and self-defeating. Your scanner showed Serra was running on Tesseract yesterday. If the language is as safe as you say, isn't that proof enough? Proof of nothing. For an AI, lying to another system about the code you're running is child's play. And for an AI built by David Asher, something that simple would be... Better change the subject. Wait, so making an AI takes more than time and resources. It is an issue of funding? No, you can't just keep adding more data. The tenets underlie everything. The higher you stack, the more easily you'll topple. Make it sound like building an AI is impossible, even for David Asher. Any chance you'll testify to that? It sounds impossible. But he's dead, and it looks like it was his android that did it. So I guess he was just that good. Better than you'll ever know. Noble spent months promoting the A16 as the culmination of David Asher's work. So now that that marketing line is suddenly a huge liability, can you tell me how much he actually contributed? I mean, he was involved in pretty much every step of the process, but his design for synthetic motor neurons, that was the big one. The components that allow your warm androids to move realistically, it pushed the timetable for warm androids ahead by years. And yet, compared to what goes on in Serra's brain 1,000 times a second, David was only giving the company the most meager of the fruits that his private work bore. So if Noble ever did find out how much he and his assistants had achieved, they would feel that he had been holding out on them. And the company, they were appreciative of his contributions. I'm sure the researchers that he overtook by leaps and bounds weren't pleased, but the board was very enthusiastic. So would that spur them to be protective of David? Would they fear that he was gaining too much influence, becoming irreplaceable? No, they need a strong motive to justify killing their golden goose. Mere paranoia isn't enough. With these people, it has to be the bottom line. And the easiest way to threaten their bottom line would be screwing with their androids. In light of all that's happened, one has to wonder if the A16 is compromised. Stayed up all night sick with dread at the idea, but the data just doesn't support it. Sales have been strong, and the A16 base code was locked in over 2 quarters ago. If there were an issue, we would have caught it by now, and I would have been axed a long time ago. How many A16s are out there, anyway? We just passed 9 million sold. Not flying off the shelves like the 14 or 15 so far, but the profit margin makes up for it. You mentioned data. Yeah, practically got the spreadsheet seared into my retinas. What do you want to know? What do the error reports look like? Are customers reporting a lot of issues? Error counts are markedly low compared to the last gen. Mostly hardware complaints, it looks like. Batteries running out too quick, eye tracking off by a degree or two. Typical stuff. As cliched as it sounds, 99% of these things get fixed once they turn auto updates back on. So no killer robots getting filed away under bug reports. How and where are they being sold? What's the distribution pattern look like? They're distributed like you'd expect. Places where there are more people, there are more androids. Coastal cities like ours, of course, have the most of both. And since the A16 in particular is marketed as being relatively luxury, relatively consumer, they don't sell well outside population centers. They can do the hard labor jobs, but cold models can do the same work with a lot less maintenance. So where has the A16 outperformed then? Customer service, healthcare, childcare, lots of hospitals, offices, and, adult industries. Oh. I don't even know why I bothered asking. That should have been obvious. People have probably been fucking androids since the first one was put on market. And that person probably lost a good amount of their genitals or their hands. Wow, what a fucking time. What a fucking time for a goddamn follow. Hi. Hello. Thank you for joining us. No, it makes sense. They're warm and soft to the touch and obedient. I'm just surprised to hear it from a company employee. There's a lot of people at the company who won't talk about it, but I work in quality assurance. I've seen too many damages to pretend it's not happening. Look, you need to make things just right. If you don't make things just right... Objection! Exactly, people will get hurt real bad. Hi, Lady DeVar. Things will get crushed. People will lose fingers. People will lose worse. You know that old movie, Treasure Planet, where he's like, you give up a few things, fighting for a dream? Yeah, some people take that very literally. Damages. Well, we call it when a customer tries to return a product that's clearly broken beyond repair. You have no idea how many times one very particular section is broken. Oh. Very high turnover in the pink market. Hasn't stopped you from selling them. Well, we don't sell to them. Not directly. But there are resellers, and the company's never pretended to be interested in going after them. Are there resellers? I thought I read the right to repair got shot down again. There's been a gray market for softer Androids for years, or decades, depending on your definition of Android. Based on the sales numbers I'm getting, I've seen right to repair getting canned was barely a blip on their radar. Sorry, didn't mean to make you uncomfortable with this topic. Me? No, I don't care. I just realized my left sock's on inside out. And I'm wondering about that myself. He bought that. This floor is basically a showroom, but you have a real factory a while south of the city limits, correct? Yeah, biggest company manufacturing complex in this hemisphere. Got any data on the shipping out of there? Anything stand out? There's some prep work for the holiday bump, looks like. Might sound early to get started now, but we usually see... Huh? Something wrong? No, the numbers aren't all normal, but the data has been edited. Is that unusual? Well, this section is just a count of how many were sent where. There's not a lot of room for error, so there shouldn't be much need for corrections. It's no problem, though. I can view the edit history and see what was fixed. Okay, that's weird. Was something added? Deleted? No. The overall sum's the same. It's just a bunch of swaps. Like here. 29FFC3010311 taken out. Return for adjustments. 27FCDD019634 substitute in. Shipment leaves on time. This one was reported to assembly for revisions, replaced by this one. Shipment leaves on time. So does all that strike you as odd, Mr. Dawes? Replacements before shipping isn't uncommon, but when it happens by the batch load. To spot individual unit imperfections among a shipment at that stage in the process, it must have been someone with a lot of experience, or authority. Probably both. Must have. You don't know who made these changes? I can tell you they were somebody important. Small last-minute changes to which androids got shipped out. Not very juicy on its own, and it's a long ways away from explaining why someone would want to kill David. But it was hidden, and that means someone didn't want it found. Okay, thanks for sharing that data. Sure, did you find what you were looking for? Hell if I know. Fair enough. Okay, now we can finally talk about the tenants. I know you're convinced the tenants are safe, so how do you square that with what happened to David? There's a cat next to a dog. First answer that comes to mind is the dog to the left or to the right. I'd say the dog is on the right, the cat is on the left. You might expect half the people to say left, half to say right. But actually their answer is almost entirely dependent on their native tongue. Let me guess, it's about which direction you read. There's a cat next to a dog. Your brain goes from left, here in English, our brains go left to right when we read. So there's a cat next to a dog. Our brains say cat and then dog to the right. And I fucking fell for it. I said to the right. Fuck me. I fell into the trap. Whether it's read right to left or left to right, the language they speak affects how they process information. Their language affects how they think. And it's the same for machines. People can learn new languages, and it can change our perspective. But machines can't learn a new source code. Every update's a reincarnation. If that android did kill David, it wasn't because a 0 returned as a 1 somewhere. It's because there's something fundamentally wrong with it. And personally, I think it's cruel to bring something that flawed into the world. Yeah. Unnecessarily cruel. Any other questions before I go find a hole to hide my head in? I'd like you to take a look at this. Chemistry is a little outside my purview. What is this? A compound found in David Asher's blood. The poison? What is it? Didn't match anything in any database the medical examiner had access to. That's crazy. Here's a crazy idea to follow up. See if it's a match for anything in Noble's internal databanks. We, don't make poison here. I'm not sure what that would accomplish. Do you have any idea how little it takes if a lot of things that you don't consider a poison to be a poison? Is bleach a poison? No, but it'll fucking kill you if you try to drink it. No, but this is the factory floor. Could be making baby blankets out there. You'd still have hazardous materials around. You think it was something industrial? Suppose it could be. It looks like it's carbon-based. Narrows it down a lot. It's not exactly... What is it? Please tell me it's your fake blood. It doesn't make any sense, but it's a match for patent NOD 52345S, a synthetically produced neurotransmitter analog for usage in organic android components. Serotonin. Wait, what? Wait. Why was there serotonin in his blood? This is what basically runs. So I was right, it's basically android blood. Because this is what's used for all those transmitters he made for Serra and them. To send data, or to send information, and to activate the muscles and all that. That explains a lot. A neurotransmitter would interact directly with the nervous system, in David's case, depressing it enough to put his life in danger. It also explains why it was a preset in his personal nanofacturer. Serra's nervous system, or 10 times its weight in platinum, must be pumped full of it. So they think that was what killed him? Helen Young led the development of serotonin, didn't she? Yes, she did. I should go and ask her about its composition then. Normally, someone at her level wouldn't be able to answer specific questions about a compound formulated years ago, but she does have a reputation for being very detail-oriented. Well, that works out nicely then. Does that mean David's corpse has Bluetooth? It could. Let's try. I'll try calling him up, see what happens. They say she's the type of person to micromanage how much water people drink at a 15-minute stand-up. I heard a rumor that she once had bathroom breaks or timesheet theft. God, I hope not. That's some fucking Jeff Bezos bullshit. Aren't they? I'm kidding. But you should be careful about criticizing a superior where people could be listening. Good thing we got privacy in your office. No one but the two of us listening in. Thanks for cooperating, Dawes. When the state storms the building and starts zip-tying people, I'll let them know that you were helpful. Yeah, nice joke. You are joking, right? Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to ask you. What's that? How long have you been a corporate spy? What? Yesterday, you let it slip that you worked in consulting. I'm be honest, I forgot about that. But, I love Morgan so much. I had your guard down because I'm not part of the industry. I was a consultant. What are you talking about? When I walked in here, you said you didn't know how David died. But just now, you called serotonin a poison. I just assumed if a chemical was found in a dead man, and I'm sure you got practice answers to every logical point I could raise, so I'll just say this. Does the nervous guy bit really work on people? Keep your cool and people don't know what you're thinking. When you act a little jumpy, they feel inclined to calm you down. Or they know it, they're spilling their guts just to have something to fill the silence with. Oh, it's not entirely an act these days. To answer your question, I did 3 tours in consulting. 4 quarters of internal affairs, spy hunting at the Western Division, then 8 embedded at Howe Industries. 24 months wearing different faces, answering to different names, sleeping for 1 hour at a time with a 3D printed shiv under my pillow. My nerves are completely shot. My cover wouldn't last a day if I went back under. So you're a spy for Noble, retired. You're working 6 days a week, 5.5 days a week, and in quality assurance. Trust me, this position is a cushy, generous reward for my past services. But you can't be that retired. You clearly know more than you're letting on. I have some old inboxes I still check. So can you tell me what the hell is happening around here? Why, I'm the one investigating David's death, while your old co-workers are off twiddling their thumbs. It's that story. It's that story. The soldier, the blood transfusion? Blood, not accident. He's finally shooting straight. Did something happen to him afterwards? Did the transfusion not last? No, there's nothing wrong with the blood. It's the story itself. There was a soldier, and he did get injured, but it was on a base during a training exercise. There's a medical tent 10 meters away the whole time. The transfusion was just a fortuitous life test. His life was never in any danger. Doesn't make for much of a tearjerker. Not even a good photo op. Which our competitors understood. One of them, maybe a few of them, got a hold of the story, started puffing it up, astroturfing, painting over socials and virals. By the next morning, we had the military thinking we were leaking like a sieve. Meanwhile, the media's bombarding us with requests for videos and interviews and data, and the state's praising our tech with one side of their mouth while threatening to mist us with the other for getting so greedy. Everyone in Noble CCE has been slammed ever since, trying to find an off-ramp for the story so we can walk back the claims without torpedoing our state contracts. I don't know what happened to Asher, whether it was AI gone rogue or company infighting gone too far, but I can tell you it wasn't done by consultants. That's all you wanted to know? You worked in CCE. Was David actually a psychiatrist, or was it all cloak and dagger bullshit? I know that office. I know some old co-workers who see them, so it's a front. They do both. So he was probably getting training, and he was probably talking to someone. Sorry, not the answer you were hoping for? Hoping? I wasn't hoping for any answer. The answer I expected was... You okay? That's all. Unless you've got any advice. You're saying you want a consultation? Couldn't hurt, right? This company, all these companies, hate to lose. So don't fight them. Make them think you're fighting for them. Wow. That's just business as usual for me. Lie, cheat, steal, do it a bunch. Round and round we go. Up until now, there's been this grating ambiguity about what actually killed David. We've had to use guesses and process of elimination and even a goddamn pseudonym. But I finally identified what the poison was. Now I just need to figure out how it got there. Or rather, who put it there. Which brings me back to here. An elevator shaft, somewhere under or above ground, with kilometers of concrete facelessness and bureaucratic authority surrounding me on all sides. An enemy in every cubicle, in every office of every floor of this temple. Built to interpret the inscrutable divinations of a temperamental oracle named Share Price. Back in the belly of the beast. Yet I feel more at ease now than I have all weekend. Makes sense. Now that I know Noble's my enemy, I know where to aim. All that's left to do is pull the trigger. I knew, even before that popped up, I knew that's exactly what she was going to say. Good thing I didn't bring a knife to this fight. We did, in fact, buy a gun recently. Where is it? 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 Where'd you put it? Maybe it's not in this one. I know you have the goddamn gun around here somewhere, motherfucker. Okay, whatever. I brought my gun. And that sound just now tells me it's playing its role perfectly. I'll never have a real use for a firearm with this much bloatware, but just by carrying it around and paying attention when the hard safety flips on, I'll always get a heads up when the police have entered the vicinity. Hi, Detective Reyes, it's Morgan. Having to get your contact info when you got me clear for the crime scenes yesterday. I love that he called her Chuckles. Delete contact. Block this contact. Stop voice to text. How does stop voice to text? Just wanted to check in. Report this contact voice to text disable. And advise you that Noble scared shitless of you stomping in and nationalizing the place. So they might be a little uncooperative when it comes to fetching documents. Block this contract. What makes you think we're at Noble? My bad, then. Forget I said anything. And whatever you do, don't start your investigation with their stock buyback program. Trying reverse psychology, it only works if I care what you think. Stop voice to text. About time. Thought I'd have to ride the elevator for the next half hour. Morgan, counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Deja vu. Might you have a moment to speak in private? Always, but who's asking? The board. What are the chances? I've been wanting to speak to them too. Oh no. Oh no. That's always a terrifying thought. I don't ever want to... Here's the thing. If I ever find myself in front of a board, I'm going to be scared shitless. I'm like, please don't. I'm okay. I don't need a board. We're good. Unless I'm there to tell them they're all fired. And also to suck my dick. In which case, that's fine. If I can get in front of them with nothing to lose, then everything's great. Young? Evangeline Morgan. Evangeline Morgan. Helen Young. Thank you for making time in your schedule. Her posture, her tone, the fold of her clothes. Professional, dialed up to 11. Corporate armor, her full set. Her guard is up. Just Morgan is fine. You're just a few minutes early, Morgan. Typical corporate, never be the first one to show up. Pissing contest nonsense. Doesn't even make sense. They called me in here. How could I possibly be early? Oh, that's embarrassing. I didn't mean to catch you all off guard. I'll go wait outside in that case so you can all collect yourselves. I'm just surprised that Noble Electronics could screw up something as simple as a meeting start time. But I'm not well versed in the art of staring at emails. Or skateboard, that's true. You've made your point, Counselor. Don't push your luck. And now not with these people. Might I dare to ask who these people are? You don't have time to remember their names, and it won't do you much good either. Right, so they're not just rich. They're anonymous rich. The Mob Act guarantees a minimum level of security and peace of mind for any citizen who might be targeted due to their financial status. Intended to protect the safety of individuals with income above the 99th percentile of the nation. In other words, this is a law very specifically protecting the 1%. Cool. Awesome. I love that. That's great. Let's burn it. Let's burn this whole... You know what? Screw trying to reform the government. Let's burn everything down and start over. Let's tear it all down, brick by brick. Throw bricks in people's faces, specifically the 1%'s face. Be great. And we try again with something new. Uncertainty and civil unrest in the late 2050s. Highly publicized crimes wherein corporate executives and a number of high-profile were stalked, harassed, and assaulted in network. After a particularly chaotic attack, there was in the hospital of a 14-year-old. A flash lynching case has not gone to trial since 2062. Okay. The purposely obscure nature of the laws have made the task of weighing its true economic impact effectively impossible. Spoken like a true believer, except Mob Act is what normal people call it. Touting the party line, but allowing yourself one instance of rebellion, or just a slip of the tongue. I would never fault anyone for wanting their privacy, especially not job creators, but it must get pretty inconvenient not having a name to call them. Not really. Conversations with them are always one-sided. Sounds like a great environment to do business in. Look at the building you're standing in. We managed to eke out a meager profit somehow. So if it works, didn't take you for the might makes right type, and I didn't take you for the clueless bored incapable of reading the room. Sorry, did I say something off color? I was only being casual since it's the two of us in here. Maybe we should take advantage of this rare bit of privacy. Clear the air. You're here to ask about Serra, yes? As I said before, I had no idea that Dr. Asher had been building an android on his private property. And I can say here and now that no one at Noble Electronics ever suspected he was working to undermine the Tenet framework. She's trying to sound candid in her tone, but she's choosing her words with the surgeon's scalpel. She coached. Is that the truth? Or is that your statement as VP of Android Futures? It's both, of course. Dr. Asher was always more than happy to hold himself up and work independently. We both know that. True, he could be pretty reclusive. I'm sure it caused all kinds of headaches, him disappearing on you like that. Must have been especially difficult when he came back with breakthroughs that propelled Noble to the top of the industry. You should take a seat. If that's everyone, shall we begin? Friendly bunch. Is there a problem with the sound? Anyone get muted by accident? No. Okay. Thanks for having me. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm actually a bit flustered having you all show up here. Didn't expect to talk to anyone higher up than a service associate. But investigating the death of Dr. David Asher, why wouldn't we take that seriously? Because you want me to go away. At least half of you do. The others aren't sure yet. You must be confused. The board is, as always, united in its decision and its vision for the direction of this company. That's not how any board works, and you fucking know it. There has never been a collection of people who are only in it for the money, who are completely unified in their thought other than money. And even then, they say money for me, not for thee. A board of directors is just 13 roulette-rolling psychopaths who get together and vote on whether or not to execute their CEO every 6 months. None of them would be where they are if they were anything else. But I happen to know how that kind of person thinks. The way I see it, there are 2 possible outcomes. Option 1, you oppose me. Shut me out completely, stonewall me, stall me, and wait for me to walk into trial, so unprepared and ill-informed that I inevitably lose. Obviously, I don't like this option, but you can't be big fans of it either. If I lose, the world will learn that David Asher was killed by an android he programmed. Then every customer you've ever had, and every lawyer that you've ever seen on TV, and every firebrand, strapping young 60-year-old junior senator looking to make a name for themselves, too real, will use your company balance sheets as their personal chew toy. The company is more than capable, after which the state still might just gobble you whole. The only good board is a cheese board or a game board. Yeah! Ooh. A nice charcuterie board. I want a charcuterie board. Like, here's the thing. Is it just meat and cheese and I can just be having a sandwich? Or just other things? Yes. However, a charcuterie board is very specific in its little fanciness. Hello. Yes, I'm enjoying the game greatly. I'm having so much fun with it. Sometimes there are olives. Yeah, but I don't like olives. Or is that just tapas? I don't know if that's just tapas. Yes, like this thing does so much. I mean, yeah, you're evil, but also you're like 20 million times smarter than Phoenix Wright ever thought he was, ever wanted to be. You're smarter than fucking Miles Edgeworth. And throw down enough sanctions to de-person whoever among you cries no fair. The company and its allies at the Capitol can more than fend for themselves. Death Note if it was Toxic Yuri, yes. It's Death Note, it's Ace Attorney, it's Toxic Yuri, it's a lot of good shit. Yes, probably, but not definitely, which makes it a gamble. So my turn to talk, then on to option 2. You cooperate with me. I use what you give me, or forge for me, to win at trial, proving that David wasn't killed by an android. When the markets open tomorrow morning, you get another round of stock buybacks in on the initial dip. Then pat yourselves on the back for staying calm as you continue to profit off David's legacy for the next 100 years. And you won't even have to worry about him speaking out of turn. That's only if you win. If the company cooperates with you, denies that David was killed by... and the state beats you anyway, it would be catastrophic. Yeah, it's a gamble. But if at least some of your board wasn't considering taking it, I wouldn't be here. We're all busy people, and I'd hate to drive a wedge between such a close-knit group of friends. So how about this? Option 3. Hedge your bets. What? Put a little on black, put a little on red, spread the love, and lower your risk profile. Don't make any statements about the trial. Tell the media the state's got your windpipe in a vice. Wait until just before the markets open Monday morning to send out your PR packages for rubber stamping, after you already know who's won. One way or another, this trial will be over before the end of the day, and you'll never hear from me again. So just don't shut me out completely for another few hours. Unless anyone seconds that motion. Very well. We can answer some of your questions, Counselor. Better make them count, then. No reason to be shy now. The poison that killed David Asher has been identified as serotonin. You're familiar? It's one of our many patented materials, as I recall. You recalled it pretty easily earlier, yesterday. G was changed. But intellectual property law can be very complex, Counselor. I'm not sure how much I or anyone at the company could tell you about serotonin at this time. Well, if you can't tell me about it, who could? You did lead its development, didn't you? Yes, I oversaw the project, which just makes it that much harder to speak freely without compromising the confidentiality of the teams that reported to me. I understand. That sounds like bullshit, and I don't believe it. But I'm not asking for trade secrets here. As a perfect match for the only foreign substance found in his body, in his blood, serotonin is what killed him. The state will say the same. It's not possible. Care to elaborate? I'm sorry, but I can't say any more at this time. So much for cooperating. And if I were to ask you as an officer of the court, then I would ask you to be patient and wait until this afternoon. Maybe Rockford has already called me to testify. Already? Damn it. Got cocky because of the cop's late arrival. It must have gone straight for the throat first thing this morning and left me investigating for later. Hell, knowing her, she probably managed to ID the serotonin before she went to bed last night. So are we still having this conversation, then? As I said, I'm sorry, but I have to take more than just my personal feelings into consideration here. There's a great deal at stake. Corporate speak for, you're too stupid to understand why I'm being dense. She's just trying to shield the company, plain and simple. LARPing as Helen Young Ark on a crusade against government overreach. But if she's that busy defending Noble, she might be leaving herself unguarded. Why is she here, anyway? Why am I speaking to her and not her lawyers? That's right. This is a vulnerable position for her. She wouldn't put herself in check like this, not unless she was forced to. So that's it. Acting as their mouthpiece and some honor for her. This is a punishment. She's being used as a meat shield. They're upset with her. Perhaps he's suspicious of her. Time to find out why. Okay, I need to be very careful what I ask here. Has David's will been located? It had never gone anywhere. It's still in a safety deposit box. We'll retrieve it and have it read once all the unknowns surrounding his death have been made into knowns. So David's will hasn't even become part of the equation yet. Might not be for weeks at this rate. Is that calculated, though? Aren't you dragging your feet? Afraid that there's something in that will you'd rather not have see the light of day? We are not jealous in-laws who've been bribing the county sheriff, Counselor. Anything we tried to claim would inevitably be overturned as soon as the will is read. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I messed up a little. It's fine. We're good. I only lost a little bit of credit. I still have plenty more. We're still sitting pretty. Whatever else the court ends up labeling her, Serra is a remarkably lifelike android. Had things worked out differently, you might have wanted her as the A16 poster girl. Or A17. Or 18. Could have driven a lot of sales. Her cute little pout projected across the sides of skyscrapers. Hypothetical of a hypothetical. As has been made tragically obvious to all of us, that android is nothing like the A16s. It may yet be associated with our products going forward as nothing more than a massive liability. Yet you wouldn't have the A16 without her, and if they could take her part and learn from her, they could have the world. So is the motive to try and pry Serra away from him? No, because they didn't even know she existed. I have to admit, I'm surprised you aren't more shaken up today, Miss Young. I'm processing. After all, you and David did have a history. You started at the same time, didn't you? Yes, we were colleagues, and cordial with one another. Don't be so modest. You helped him create the one-point doctrine that saved the company. That is a gross exaggeration. Noble was far too large an organization to be affected by the contributions of any single individual. Suppose you're right. No one person could change Noble's fortunes overnight. Except for David Asher, of course. But he was a once-in-a-generation talent. The guy Noble chose for the advertisement and the one they commissioned editorials about. Sorry, you're right. I shouldn't have equated the two of you. I just hope his one-point doctrine didn't fall out of favor now that he's gone. Yes, well, we certainly wouldn't want that. Well, she definitely didn't explode with rage. She didn't exactly explode with rage, but she definitely reacted. There's real jealousy there. Whether it ever boiled over, though? I didn't mean to pry about your relationship with David, or lack thereof. I suppose I'm just curious about his standing inside Noble as a whole. David Asher was, and always will be, an outstanding contributor to the company's forward progress. Nothing will ever change that. We have so many aces in this set. Not even if he was killed by one of his own creations. That would, of course, be a tragic element that would call for a reconsideration of his legacy. She was almost off guard there. Like she was surprised for me to be asking about Serra ruining his reputation. Besides Serra, David's reputation was crystal clean. He never went against the company once. Did he? Unless I'm mistaken, and he and Noble were on bad terms. In that case, I might get the impression that some parts of leadership were actually glad to see him taken off the chessboard. That is not something buzzing in your ear. Fine. I suppose it makes no difference if you hear it now, or at the trial, or on your feet tomorrow. Dr. David Asher is being sued by the company for breach of contract. Satisfied? Now we're talking. Well then, I suppose that's blackjack. So you couldn't have mentioned this breach of contract earlier. Not without complicating the company's position unnecessarily, no? But there's no hiding it at this point. It'll all come out soon enough. There's a paper trail, and much more than that. We'd been making moves to let him go for some time. Noble Electronics parting way with David Asher. Must have been one hell of a breach of contract. What did he do? He betrayed the confidence of the board. Was he contesting the suit? Putting up a fight? Engaging against an illegal battle against a mega corporation without even telling me? Until recently, yes. You mean until he died? How recently? We spoke on Friday. That was what you two talked about in his parlor. No, this was earlier in the day. We were in this room, actually. Him, me, and several members of our legal department. It was an arbitration. And did you come to an agreement? A compromise. He would resign from his position in 2 quarters, foregoing royalties on any projects we would develop after the next 24 months. In exchange, he wouldn't be publicly fired, and he would still be credited on all past, present, and future filings. Very reasonable. On paper, maybe. No matter what the deal was, letting go of David Asher is insanity. Reasonable. Yes. We ended on a good note, I'd like to think. We shook hands, even took a photo. Yeah, that looks lovely. David looks so incredibly ecstatic to be here. Something funny. Didn't know the board tell jokes. They don't. That was legal, expressing their displeasure with how much paperwork my good note ending left them stuck with. Children. It was just one night of overtime. So they were spending their Friday night blowing the ink dry. You paid a visit to David's penthouse. Something left unfinished. Professionally, it was a good meeting. There was no yelling, no finger pointing. Much cleaner than expected. But Dr. Asher did not want to retire. He didn't want to be forced out of the company when he was the one when he had contributed so much. I didn't enjoy doing that to him, so I came over that night to apologize to him. We talked, reminisced. When he brought out the drinks, I thought we'd be toasting to a new day. A few minutes later, he was dead. Because of that AI.
Light!
The power of light is summoning up that AI. Any idea how it came to be? As I said, I had no idea he was working on it. My question was more broad than that. If you really believe David built an AI, how do you think he did it? How does Noble Electronics think he managed to work around the tenants? It's quite beyond my area of expertise, and no one at the company could call themselves an expert in illegal technology. But some in the R&D department have theorized that he created what they call a wax-wane decaying priority loop, which, as I understand, is an unstable, resource-intensive theoretical method for pseudo-randomizing the weight amongst preset tenants. Well, about as far off target as it gets with that guess. That kind of inelegant brute force nonsense seems a far cry from the kind of thing David would create, and I seem to have taken us over the allotted time slot. I didn't even get to wave goodbye. You're serious about this trial? Don't I look it? You're not just making a play. You're actually going to defend that thing. I'm just defending myself, Miss Young. Oh yes, of course you are. My mistake. I hoped you might be rooting for me. To tell you the truth, I may yet save everyone's stock options. The stock options will be alright either way. They always are. That gamble I offered your board. Which outcome would you bet on? Finally, an easy question. What I would bet is that whatever the outcome, the company will eat it up and shit it out with very little difficulty. You painted an ugly picture back there, but I've already seen the future, and it's just another marketing gimmick. The great Dr. Asher, too smart, too bold, too far ahead of his time. What spark of his genius remains buried in the inspired Animates 19? I guess that depends on you are exactly right. He is more valuable to Noble as a dead man. Dead men can't step out of line, or put their foot in their mouth, or hold politically inconvenient opinions. Look, if I've learned one thing about this game so far, it's that Morgan sure does lie a lot, oftentimes to herself. Pardon my outburst. I'm just tired. It's been a very long week for me. I'll let you prepare for your afternoon then, Dr. Young. No one calls me doctor. I asked them not to. You didn't want the title. At times I have thought very little of it. The PhD I earned from a Noble-owned school. Biochemistry. It couldn't have been a large department at Noble before they started work on worm androids in earnest. Probably didn't have any expectations for the program back when she was a part of it. I was proud of it when I first got it. Something changed. Never seemed to catch on. People didn't use it, so eventually I told people not to use it. A very high IQ social power play, you understand. David never insisted that people use it either. That's very different, and I think you know it. David Asher didn't have to. Did you kill him, Young? Did you do it? Or were you just jealous of him and now you're kind of sad that he's gone? Or you're mad at yourself for not being sad enough? I'm going into this trial, my trial, with a lot less ammunition than I'd like. I'm beginning to form a picture of what actually happened, maybe even circling the drain on a suspect. But Emma won't be generous enough to give me breathing room. She'll want to end this fast. If I do badly enough, it'll flip her sadistic switch and she'll want to keep playing. So you got charged with owning an AI. So, first time you do something exciting in your whole life. And I gotta find out through the fucking grapevine? My life is plenty exciting. Freckles. You could bore the polish off a resume-checking robot. I fucked Catholic school teachers with more active night lives than you. Okay. Who'd you rope in? Anyone I know? Oh shit! Are you representing yourself? Fits within my budget. Screw your budget, you're going to jail! Thanks for the vote of confidence. Ain't a matter of how good of a lawyer you are. Anyone who represents themselves in court has a fool for counsel. Honestly, from what I've heard from real-life lawyers, true. You represented yourself countless times. Not for anything I had a chance of losing. Your pal hasn't even been dead 48 hours. You're too close to this. You'll make mistakes. The powers that be really didn't want to give me a rain check. They're taking this very seriously. It's more dangerous than that. They're scared. Is there precedent? An ad committing murder. How'd you pass law school without learning how to look this stuff up? I know what the net says. I'm asking you. The answer to that is... not helpful to you at the moment. What words of advice do you have, oh great master? Get yourself a new lawyer. Gonna close this chat now. Don't lose, Freckles. You don't need to tell me that. What are you reading, Adonai? I was reading David's employment contract with Noble Electronics before I got waylaid by spam texts. The one we found inside the panic room? It looks quite extensive. Should I skim it for you? Depends. Did you pass the bar exam since we last spoke? You comfortable? I am not. I've seen that old movie with the gorilla and the skyscraper. They bring it to the city and I understand the analogy, Adonai. I wish I could call it overkill. But considering the specs Serra put up yesterday, maybe these bindings aren't heavy enough. Come to think of it, those numbers must have been faked, along with the rest of what the machine read. That was all smokescreen David added to help her lay low, then her actual strength is more like... If her joints weren't currently locked up tighter than a vice, do you think you could escape this place? I hope that question is not indicative of your strategy. This is me trying to distract you, Serra. Enjoy the hypothetical. I would estimate that the building's automated security would put 9 holes in me before I reach that door. That's not so bad. I would not be able to function after the 7th. Well, if you haven't been planning some great escape, I would not do that. That would be illegal. And you would still be on trial. I remember. So what have you been doing all day, then? I am attempting to recover memories from Friday. You can do that. It is not dissimilar from the process of recovering data erased from any other computer, despite the difference in scale. I won't be able to remember everything, but if successful, I could recall individual pieces of information that could prove useful. That's a lot of coulds, and even if you're successful, you may not like what you find. Whatever happened that day, either you or David wanted you to forget it. Yes, but even so, I have to remember, because it's the last day that Father and I... Any luck so far, then? I can recall a slightly musty scent. Wow, case closed! What about you, Adonai? Have you formulated a plan for the trial's proceedings? Something like that. Young insists that serotonin isn't what killed David. I don't buy it. There's no other explanation for how he died. So she is lying, and she repeats that lie on the stand. I'll need to expose it. Somehow. Would she really commit perjury to protect Noble? To protect one of Noble's patents? She doesn't strike me as quite the corporate zealot she makes herself out to be. But you believe she had something to do with Father's death? What do you think? I don't know. I don't know why anyone would kill Father. Considering the possible consequences of what he confessed to in his journal, I can think of... But then again, I don't understand why anyone would kill anyone. Do you? This is not a question you should be asking. Bell's tolling for thee. It means that the doors to the courtroom are unlocked. Wait, can you walk like that? What'll we'll have to do. Wait a second. Across the hall, that's... Keep idling, Serra. I'll catch up. As you say, Adonai. This will be a coin toss. You're not surprised to see me? I'm not surprised you want to see the outcome of this trial. I am surprised you'd want to talk to me. You're defending the android, right? Yeah. I'm defending Sarah's innocence. I don't think she killed David. Do you? I don't think it matters. Noble is what killed David. Was with a pin stroke or sleeper agent killer android, a plain old goddamn arsenic. How can anyone that smart be that dumb? All they did ever sign his soul over to them. It may have been in over his head, but he wasn't a bad negotiator. I've read his contract. His position was strong. You're the lawyer, but a guy like me, working in music, can't tell you how many people I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. No such thing as corporate generosity. If you think you're getting a good deal, it's only because you don't know how much you just sold. How much you just sold. David's real wealth lay in his intellectual property, potential energy of it, hanging over the whole industry. If he sued even 1% of the companies taking inspiration from his Turing solution, there's a clause in his contract. If Noble ever did fire David, he would have retained control over all his patents afterwards. Yes, that sounds nice. Only they never did fire him, did they? He just happened to die. An unforeseeable act of God. In contract law, they call that force majeure. Well, I want to talk to Porter more. I like the way he talks. It's fun. You know, sometimes you just kind of find a voice that you have a lot of fun with. Is he actually British? Probably not, but I don't really care, now do I? I said, did you find anything interesting in the contract, Adonai? A few things, yeah. Basically, David was well taken care of, so long as they kept him around. And you can retain control of his patents even after being let go. What Porter said. Logically, if David were to pass while still employed, Noble would continue control the bulk of his IP. So if they knew David was going to leave in a year, it would be very foolish of them to let Father go. Well, they wouldn't do it for no reason. With his contract, he can only be fired for serious offenses, corporate malfeasance, revealing trade secrets, fraud. Father was not a fraud. He was, as they say, the greatest of all time. He was an absolute goat. Fraud just means lying to the company about something, Serra. Oh. Eyes up. Showtime. British people disappear sometimes. Ah! There's one right now! I'm seeing them on the screen. Councillor Morgan. The state charges you with possession of contraband. Contraband? That'd be you. In violation of the Safeguarding Our National Digital Security Act. How do you plead? Not guilty. Very well. So it seems that we are, in fact, doing this. I'll now turn over the administration of this trial to the adjutant. But be warned, any attempts at stalling or muddling the issue, and I'll step right in and override the trial myself. Summary judgment, siding with the people. Are we understood? Yes, Your Honor. Are we going to have the same adjutant as we had before? No way. Each courthouse only has so many bodies, but the personalities swap around all the time. Oh, Morgan, you have no idea how bad your luck is going to be. So the chances of us dealing with the same glitchy mess as yesterday are... Glad to be back. Did y'all miss me? Forget I said anything. I'll just go crawl under a rock and die while you make your opening statements. Ahem. The defendant is the owner of the android registered under the model name Serra. License number 120292880. She hasn't contested this, and I doubt she will, so the question of ownership is already answered. All that remains is to determine whether Serra qualifies as contraband. It's a charming android, incredibly well made, a masterpiece, and the last known work of a great man. When we look at the evidence and the facts surrounding the death of Dr. Asher, we're forced to conclude that said android is responsible for his death, and that conclusion carries very serious implications. I'll prove here in court today that the machine standing there killed David Asher, not through an accident or a mismanaged dosage, but through an intentional poisoning. I want us the court to judge the machine on its apparent sentience, its range of motions, or the free will it may or may not possess. I only ask that the court judge this creation on what we will prove it to be more than capable of. Patricide. Wow, she actually said patricide as in killing of a father. Wow, and she could have just said murder. Whew. Wouldn't want to have to follow that act, but go for it anyway, defense. Your Honor, what the DA said is true. She's admitted. Sorry, just the first part. This android is charming and is the work of a great man. The rest of it was pure speculation, based on little more than a few bad camera angles and a phobia of anything new. I do own the android you see here. It was bequeathed to me by a man known to most people in this courtroom as the father of modern machine intelligence. To me, he was just my friend. And if I thought at any point that this puppet had anything to do with his death, I would have dragged it to the chopping block myself. But I don't believe that. I never have. Sarah's an android, nothing more. It isn't capable of homicide, it didn't even commit manslaughter. That being said, I will tell it some more information later. There's gonna be a lot to tell it, in privacy of our own home. But for now, I'll lie. It's just a well-made machine. Any fears one has about its capabilities are projections, nothing more. And it troubles me greatly that the state is spending valuable time and resources on rushing to pulverize Dr. Asher's last known work, when it could be going after the very real, very human forces that were responsible for his death. She's serious? Talking about Noble? The people can't prove that Serra is an AI. And truth be told, I can't prove that it isn't. But I can prove that it's not guilty. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Chills. You sounded very confident, Adonai. Yeah, well, never ever got good at lying by being modest. You could have simply said thank you. I love her pout. Her pout is cute. Thank you for your presence here today, Detective London. In light of the new evidence, I'd like to go over the death of Dr. Asher one more time. What happened Friday night? At 6:30 p.m., David Asher spoke on the phone with his lover, and the two of them broke things off. Lover? That's an accurate description of their relationship, isn't it? I wouldn't know. That stuff's private. How did I? And the deceased met with Noble VP Helen Young in his parlor starting around 7:30 p.m., then left the parlor and the sightlines of his home security system before reappearing on his private secondary security system in his basement moments later. At which point the android Serra can be seen handing him the poison he'd go on to drink. And do you see that android in the courtroom? Yeah, she's the gray-haired one that's frowning at me. Let the record show that the android Serra has been identified at the scene of the crime. No objections. None? Why'd I even show up? Detective London, what happened next? Usher went upstairs and shared a drink with Miss Young. In a few minutes, he was being airlifted to the hospital, where he was soon declared dead. We know that the poison could be manufactured by his manufacturer, which Serra had access to, just up the stairs in his workshop. So Serra had ample opportunity to procure the poison, and Serra handled Dr. Asher's cup immediately before he did. Is there a question in that statement, Your Honor? I'll rephrase. Was anyone else seen handling Dr. Asher's cup before he died? No. I have no further questions. So that's your witness, counselor? He wasn't lying, per se, but there was some ambiguity in the statement he gave. She's gotta come out one way or another. If Emma won't push, I'll have to pull. Talk screen. Basement footage. To be fair, all we saw... This posted 2026 facts on the Discord. I'll take a look in a minute. Helen Young arrived. He went downstairs. So Serra handing him the cups and the whiskey. Okay, what was our evidence again? Could go nowhere, but at this range... Oh, wait, okay. I do know what it is. The most minor of slip-ups. It's the only thing we have at the moment. Check that footage again, Detective London. We only see Serra handing the victim a cup. He had already retrieved the whiskey himself. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Detective London just wasn't being specific enough, Your Honor. But it matters little, since it was David's cup, not the whiskey bottle that was poisoned. Weird flex, but okay. And that undeniable fact is shown clearly in the security footage. Serra hands him a cup after he was ready to leave. True, she did call David back, and handed him a cup of poison. If the cup was already poisoned, don't you think David would have noticed it wasn't empty? Well, not necessarily. Lethal dose could have been quite small. Or just a droplet, it could have easily overlooked it. For Serra, the crime was very simple. There was too little to the plan for anything to go wrong. Once she handed it off, she just had to wait for him to drink from his cup. Is that all she'd have needed to do? No, because... But the main thing is, how would she have known... Not a great plan, if that really was Serra's move. She gave him 2 cups. How could she have known which cup David would drink from? There are a few ways to go about it. But it's only a 50-50 shot, counselor. Stranger things have happened. Don't try and bluff me, Rockford. There is no difference between the cups. It's not a bluff. Serra handed the cups to him in one stack, with the poison hidden in the bottom cup. She knew David was courteous and would pour for his guest first, so he wouldn't even look into the poison cup until he was already pouring. Cold-blooded patricide executed by taking advantage of Dr. Asher's kindness. Woof, I lost so much credit there. Woof, that hurt. She was luring me in those easy answers, and I fell for it. Now, are there some questions you'd like to ask the detective while he's available? Or are you done already? I was just about to get started. If I didn't have any questions, I'd make some up just to spite you at this point. But I can do better than that. Now, what can I get London to say that would help my case? God, our blind is so high at the moment. Alright, let me think. Detective, in the footage we just saw, could you see what Serra was doing? Not exactly, no. The back was to the camera and the hands were obscured. Could you see your hands from any other clip of camera footage retrieved from the basement? No. Did you or anyone else participating in the investigation ever see Serra put anything into David Asher's cup? No. The footage submitted to the record is the best available view of what happened. What about the view from the android itself? Well, yeah, if we could see the android eyes, that'd be pretty conclusive. If we could trust any data touched by... damn it. Oh, God, that was so many points. So, for one camera angle, we've got... Do you know how many violent incidents the city's police have investigated last year? Not the exact number. Thousands, though? Yeah, around there. And of those thousands of incidents of violence, do you know how many of them were found to be the fault of automated dependents? I believe there's been 6 in the last 5 years. Were all 6 of them incidents of police license to add involved brutality? Relevance, Your Honor. Which one? Detective London, in their capacity as assistants to the police force, are androids ever asked to commit acts of violence? Yeah, I guess so. Push people, restrain them, harm them, and does that constitute a violation of their tenets, harming the people they're supposed to protect? Well, as I understand it, there might be some complex weighing math that goes into it, but no, it's not breaking any tenets. If that'd be the case, they'd have to have tenet 1, right? May not injure through an action lead to blah blah. Yes, I suppose that would have to be the case. God damn it. Ugh. Oh god, and our blind just gotten even bigger. Oh, I'm losing so many points. Do you know how many tenants are recognized in this? 110? 112 as of this year. Could you have given me that one? Do you know how many of those tenants pertain to protecting humans from harm? Oh, one I did. No, 41. And lastly, detectives, how many times in the last, say, century have we seen automated dependents break their tenants? 5 times, the agreed upon number. So if you were to tally that all up and try and make an evaluation of police officers charged with protecting civilians, overall, you would say that automated dependents in general are how dangerous to the public? The witness is an expert on automated dependents, Your Honor. He's more than qualified to say whether they have a history of violence, Your Honor. Oh, what the heck? Let him answer. I'd have to say that they are not dangerous. Normally that would have bought me some doubt with the jury, but this isn't a traditional trial. At least I can say that I shored up my own confidence. Alright, seems like that's as close as I'm going to get to blackjack. Not a very pretty blackjack. In fact, nastiest blackjack I've made. Woof. I could have loaded earlier and had more credits, but you know what? I took the L. I believe I've made my point. I have no more questions for this witness, Your Honor. Then we can move on to the next item on the docket. Looks like Emma wants to introduce some new evidence. I call Serra to the stand. Android, can you approach, Your Honor? Oh, you're approaching me. I believe that it's me they wanted to speak with. I didn't even get to finish my line. Now then, what the hell are you doing, Rockford? Took the words right out of my mouth. I have questions for the android. This seemed like the best way to get answers. Can't call an android as a witness. It's not a person. There's plenty of precedents for it. Ask for my testimony all the time. Not when they're on trial. Serra isn't on trial. You are. Serra's accused of being an AI. That means you don't trust a word out of its mouth. If the witness isn't to be trusted, the court can decide that for itself after hearing their testimony. Why the ambush? Why did you list this as entering evidence, D.A. Rockford? Only people can be witnesses, Your Honor, and ads don't have legal personhood. Evidence seemed like the best words descriptor. You know I can't make an android swear an oath. Rockford is trying to spoil your opinion, Your Honor. The more this court treats Serra like a person, the more you'll see her as human, and the weaker my case becomes in your eyes. Nice try, Counselor. We don't have time to worry about my impartiality. You're free to call for a mistrial if you want, but the state will have turned Serra to slag before you even finish signing a motion. Rockford's calling a witness that is blatantly hostile to her case. If the witness is hostile, so be it. It did kill a man, after all. Allegedly. What about the right to avoid self-incrimination? Who's the one treating Serra like a person now? Androids don't have rights. Okay, yeah, that was our fault. Damn it, the android will take the stand. Your Honor, I've made my decision. And if Serra refuses to take the stand, are you going to charge her with contempt of court? If the machine won't talk, you'll make every effort as its owner to ensure that it does. And if it disobeys you, then we'll have our answer about its sentience right then and there. Yes, Your Honor. Shit. What's going on? Tia's going to question you on the stand. What? But I should... Listen to me. You don't have a choice right now. This is happening. Tell the truth, but be concise. The more robotic, the better. Yes or no's only, if you can. Would using affirmative and negative be laying it on too thick? But, Adonai, if I make a mistake, all these people, they want to destroy me. If you make a mistake, your lawyer will just have to cover for you. Understand? Yes. You are the android identified as Serra, correct? Affirmative. Do you deny that this camera footage shows you handing the poisoned cup? Objection! It remains to be seen whether the cup itself was definitively poisoned. Yes, yes. Serra, do you deny handing that cup to David Asher? Negative? I have no memory of the incident, so I can neither confirm nor deny it. Do you have any reasoning, any excuse for your actions, for failing to notify police of crucial information? I do not have any records from that day, so I never had anyone to tell anyone. Very well. Counselor? The journal, if you will. Oh, this is bad. This could be a slaughter. Of course. Do you recognize this item? It's a journal that belongs to... Almost said father. I know she almost said father. Dr. David Asher. I have seen him write in it on many occasions. And have you any knowledge of its contents? Negative. You don't have to answer that, actually. Tell the court what you see here in this footage. I see myself reading the journal in the basement. The footage was captured on Friday, the day you claim to have no memory of. So regardless of what you do or don't remember, we know that you read this journal hours before David Asher died. That is logical. I'd like you to read some passages from it for the court. Can you do that? Of course. Page 238, the 10th line. Serra is growing faster than I ever expected, beyond my wildest dreams or fears. Today, she... Continue, please. Today, she broke every password I have in the house. Said she was curious. I can't expect to keep things from her forever. Page 252, 1, line 12. I've gravely underestimated the scope of things. Serra could change everything, and I don't think I could... Shit! This is cherry-picking the worst lines ever. Jesus Christ, Rockford, you are picking out the worst possible lines for us. But all the best lines I could think of for Serra loving Dr. Asher and never hurting him are also the things that prove she's an AI. It wasn't... Page 263. Ugh. Damn it. This keeps up. Serra's going to fall to pieces here. Badgering, Your Honor. Badgering what witness, Counselor? I'm just making the android do some simple task. Can't raise an objection when Serra's got no legal status for me to... Well, you know what? I feel good about raising an objection for her. I think Serra was angry today. When I came back from work, she had ripped a Zen alloy plate in half. She said she was testing her strength, but the cameras... That was page 267. Serra scared me today. She starts bawling on the stand. It's all over. Your Honor, I fail to see the value in continuing this line of questioning. Dr. Asher was wary of a highly experimental android he was building, as any good scientist would be. That's been established. Do the people have a counter-argument? I have just one last question, if it pleases the court. Let's hear it. This footage was captured in the basement on Friday at around 5:30 p.m. Tell the court what you see. I see myself standing where I was when I read the journal. I'm speaking to someone who's off camera, and I appear agitated, and I stomp my foot. And what happens to the floor after you stomp your foot? A large crack is made in the vulcanized polymer, and I walk off cameras towards whomever I had been speaking to. Speaking, or shouting. Asked and answered. Not really, but I'll withdraw the comment nonetheless. Your witness, counselor, or evidence, if you prefer. Damn, I knew she could cherry-pick all the worst passages from the journal, but still. Barrows wasn't wavering before. Should I try to have Serra read the mushy parts? No, the waterworks would start after only a few lines. Emma went to all that trouble to show how emotionally developed Serra is. Proving that she loved David like a father would be playing right into her hands. What do you say, counselor? Got some burning questions for the android? Yes, Your Honor, just one moment. It went for emotion, and the impact was devastating, so all I can do is focus on the facts. So let's flip this around. Say Serra absolutely didn't poison David. If that's the case, why did she call him back on his way out of the basement? That's I'd actually ask you to read from the journal again, Sarah. You would? From where? From the section that explains what you were actually trying to do that night. The section of his journal detailing... Actually, let me think. Why did she call him back on his way out of the basement? From the section that explains what you were actually trying to do at that night. Shit. Look around the early section. There should be entry talking about an early victory at Noble. Relevant, the people will see in just one moment that this story is key to this entire case. Got approval from overseas. Have to make the pitch again this week, Young says. Brought me a stack of plastic cups. Here's to a bright future together. And then on this next page, another victory for the young and sleepless. Helen convinced the president of Futures over lunch that my coach should be the basis for the Animate 13's conversational tracking. She's insisted on toasting, the same crappy booze and the same cheap cups. Wants to make a tradition. Plastic cups and liquor. A ritual between Helen Young and David Asher, who were about to have a drink together Friday night. Something you want to say, counselor? Let's put all our cards on the table, shall we? You want to compare theories? If you'd rather I did this now, I'd be happy to oblige. Here's what we know. Sarah read that journal and discovered what she was. It infuriated her, and she wanted revenge for being kept under her maker's thumb. That very night, she got a chance when Dr. Asher came down looking for a drink. So, like the clever little helper she is, offered him a cup to drink out of. We're completely in agreement on that. So you also agree that the cup was poisoned, and that Sarah's responsible for his death. Not quite. It's not a bad explanation, Miss Rockford, but it is terribly complex. There's a much simpler reasoning for why Sarah did what she did. Here's the thing, if I max out the blind and I get this right, we're gonna make a lot of this, we're gonna make a lot of those credits back. If I get this wrong, because I know it's this one, it's just a matter of which one they want me to, oh, it has to be this one, okay. You're saying Sarah wasn't planning anything. She was just being considerate. Hooray! I got some of my chips back. That's so sweet, but I don't follow it at all. It's actually quite simple. Sarah's not an AI. She only threw attention that day because she was found out she was being spied on. A realistic reaction for an android designed to be realistic. David Asher said her memory to be cleared himself because he wanted to preserve the experiments he was running. Sarah didn't hatch a plan to poison him using an obscure chemical acquired from the lab, and she didn't subtly manipulate David into drinking from only one of 2 cups. Because the android read the whole journal that day, meaning she also read how David and Young used to celebrate. And so when she saw David was leaving his basement without the nostalgic cups, she called him back to hand them to him. Simple, right? Simple enough for me, but not nearly good enough for me. What's more likely, Miss Rockford, that a well-made, clever android proposed a sentimental addition to 2 friends' evening, or that a homegrown AI with groundbreaking physical and digital capabilities concocted a complicated poisoning scheme just to kill an unimposing man, all on camera, mind you, before voluntarily submitting to a memory wipe. People make all kinds of stupid mistakes when they commit crimes, counselor. We shouldn't expect an AI to act much differently. Is it stupid or dangerous? Can't have it both ways, Your Honor. We can if it's ignorant of its power and still immature. A deadly trait to have in an AI that's capable of anything. Shall we see what Sarah's capable of then, Your Honor? What? You can't be. Your Honor, that's... The people open the door. True, and I can't resist open doors. Let's do it! What are you even... Sarah, David Asher was your creator and your designated owner, correct? Should I still be using affirmative? And now that title falls to me. Yes? Great, thank you. Now turn off. What? Shut down. That's command. Power on. What are you off? On. I don't off. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what this fearsome machine menace is capable of. I can put it to sleep with one word. So how could David Asher ever be threatened by it? Scary, scary good logic. You've made your point, counselor. Let's move it along. I have no further queries for the machine, Your Honor. That was super clever. Just being like, off, on, off, on, off, on. That's gotta hurt her a little bit, but for now, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you for flipping you off and on. Can't imagine that was comfortable. It wasn't. But I wasn't referring to that. Since yesterday, I've been searching for an answer to why I appeared on that camera. I know I would never hurt Father, but you helped me prove that to myself just now. Hadn't I? Pardon me, I need to focus. Everything depends on this next witness. The people call Helen Young to the stand. Helen Young, Vice President of Android Futures at Noble Electronics Eastern Division. Miss Young, you were there the night Dr. Asher died, and you were on camera the entire time. That's correct. So what did you see that night? I arrived at 7:30 p.m., as you know. David and I talked in the parlor, then he left to retrieve some refreshments for us. After drinking together for a short while, he fell ill. I contacted emergency services and I'm sure you're all tired of hearing the same details over and over by now. The same details over and over aren't going to hold up anymore, Madam Veep. It's still unclear to me whether Young's more concerned with protecting herself or the almighty company, but it'll clear up real fast if I can turn up the pressure on her here and now. We have the journal, we have the arbitration, and we have your old story. At 7:30, we chatted for a short while about some low-priority work. Nothing heavy. Now that I know for a fact is wrong. I know for a fact that's a damn lie. Nothing heavy. You're both more professional than I realized. Since only hours earlier, you had run a meeting in which his employment was terminated. His employment wasn't terminated at the arbitration you're referring to. His resignation was merely agreed upon. Yes, we can all imagine how grateful he felt about the whole process. David didn't hold grudges. Our conversation wasn't about that. The fact that you had fired him that afternoon didn't come up. Asked and answered. Who initiated the meeting at his penthouse? I arrived unannounced. So you weren't invited? Very cordial indeed. If he didn't want to see me, he could have stopped me at the elevators. Could he have? Noble owned that entire building, down to the wiring. Counsel is badgering the witness, Your Honor. Right, should we execute her for that then? No need. If I can just continue my questioning, we can finally start addressing the elephant in the room. Where? I see, that was merely a joke. Hilarious. Miss Young, Noble Electronics owns a patent for and produces the synthetic biochemical known as serotonin, correct? That's correct. It's used in our worn models to facilitate integration and communication between organic and synthetic components. It's an artificial neurotransmitter. Essentially, yes. A synthetic analog serotonin was the original name. Did you bring the sample I requested to the courtroom today? I mean, I'm going to say the judge. The judge from Ace Attorney is more clueless. This one's just having fun. He's supposed to be better. She is a glitch or something. I did. Serotonin is produced on-site without assembly lines as a caramel-tinted solution, including water and a few non-reactive organic byproducts. Your analysis, Your Honor? Working on it. It's odorless and tasteless, and also as a robot she can do things like that. A solution of water and organic byproducts, you said. If that solution were ingested, most of it would look right at home in a human body, I suppose. But the serotonin would stand out, wouldn't you say? It's not a naturally occurring compound, so yes. And it's a perfect match for the substance previously labeled Delta. And the sample we collected from the manufacturer present in Dr. Asher's lab, that's a bingo! The witness's brown stuff matches your brown stuff down to a T. I don't like the way you said brown stuff, but in light of this evidence and the witness's testimony, I motion the court formally recognize that Dr. Asher's cause of death was serotonin poisoning. I don't object, Your Honor, but I'm afraid that I must. Excuse me? A serotonin may very well be in his body when he died, but serotonin didn't kill Dr. Asher. What the hell is she up to? It couldn't have. It couldn't kill anybody. What? Because it's non-toxic, of course. We designed it to affect androids, not people. Hold on. You're now claiming that Dr. Asher died of what? Natural causes? I can't say what he died of. I'm not a medical expert. But I can easily prove that serotonin is harmless. Okay, who wants to take a bet that she's got a vial of serotonin and she's about to down the whole fucking thing? How could you? Like so. Huh. Didn't see that one coming. What? What? Oh, that ain't good. The bailiff, contact the hospital immediately. I told you it's fine. But I can stand here all day. I can stand here all day if necessary. What in the... And what she just drank was several hundred times the amount found in Dr. Asher's body. Hey, why didn't you say anything until now? Nova Electronics is a multinational corporation with patents filed all over the world. We take the production of our trade secrets very seriously. The production and nature of serotonin is closely guarded. That guard remains up even during a murder investigation. Unfortunately, I would have been able to tell you earlier had you asked directly. What the hell kind of... This can't be right. Nothing else makes sense. Boy, howdy, I'm lost as hell. But do you have any further questions, Rockeford? Not at the moment, Your Honor. This literally throws... Okay, here's the thing. If we don't have a cause of death, this entire trial is thrown out immediately. Everything just shoved off. And the defense? The prosecution's own witness is through the entire case into question. Normally this would cause for celebration, but shadow of a doubt isn't enough this time. Barrows would much rather bring down the gavel early than let a potential AI walk free. What Young did was shocking, but what I need to do hasn't changed. Think this through, logically. Is it really possible that serotonin had nothing to do with David's death? No, that's bullshit. It can't be a coincidence. There's nothing else that would have killed him. But Young just drank serotonin in front of us and she's fine. So was it fake? No, it was confirmed by the current computer to be the genuine article. So she drank poison, but isn't showing any symptoms. Is it slow acting? If so, her grand gesture would be pointless. She'll be kept for observation regardless of what happens next. Did she take some kind of antidote beforehand? No, antidotes are developed for poisons, not industrial chemicals. David's dead, she's alive. What made the difference? Wake up! No sleeping on the job. Unless you're me. Of course, Your Honor. Allow me 1 minute to explain things to the court. We confirmed just now. Maybe it reacts with alcohol? That's actually entirely possible. That's incredibly possible. On its own, it might be harmless, but mixed with something else, it could be deadly. We confirmed just now that serotonin was the foreign compound in his body, and we all know, logically, that it must have been what killed David Asher. So what's the key difference between what David drank that night and what she drank in front of us just now? The difference has been staring us in the face this whole time. That's... Oh, I forgot to raise. I forgot to call. Oh, whatever. Do you recognize this, Miss Young? That's the whiskey bottle that Dr. Asher and I drank from. Rose River. It's good whiskey. And I think you had the right idea. Pardon. Bottoms up. Smooth. What? How did I... Dear God, Counselor. Scandalous. Relax, it's just whiskey. Tested a dozen times over. Perfectly safe. So would you like to try some, Miss Young? Just don't be absurd. I'm not going to drink on the witness stand. Have you lost your mind? I'm not asking you to get plastered. Just have a sip. After all, if we want to prove whether or not serotonin killed Dr. Asher, we have to recreate the conditions under which he ingested it by mixing it with alcohol. Oh, go ahead then. Just a taste. She's sweating bullets. Prove to us that serotonin is perfectly safe for human consumption. Is it... Can she do this? Miss Young, I never said it was safe for human consumption, just that it's non-toxic. A distinction without a difference. You saw firsthand Dr. Asher confused, slurring his speech, complaining of headache. All symptoms of poisoning. Alcohol poisoning, that is. A serotonin is a neurotransmitter analog. Maybe it doesn't do anything to the human body on its own, but its combination with alcohol, it acts as a powerful depressant. One strong enough to turn a glass or two of whiskey into a lethal overdose. And let's just... Even if that's the case, what does it change? It changes whether or not we can accept the witness's testimony. Even if this witness is a liar, what does that change? Why would the witness lie, if not to... She's a corporate climber. I imagine it's like breathing for her. This is perjury! Your Honor, this is wild, but ultimately irrelevant. Irrelevant? When you've yet to establish an alternative interpretation of the facts, yes. What are you even accusing the witness of doing, Counselor, beyond angling for a promotion? We've all seen the story by now. Noble androids save soldiers' life with warm blood transfusion. We're talking about putting warm androids in the military just because of that headline. With the size of their flesh and blood price tag, a defense contract like that would secure Noble untold profits for years. So imagine the lengths they'd go to hide the fact that their androids have poison in their veins. Dawes told me the truth about what Noble really thinks of that article, but he never testified to it. At least I know for sure Em is wrong about this poisoned blood nonsense. And you think she'd perjure herself for that? She's a high-powered corporate executive. It's her job to assess risk versus reward, and she can afford the fine. As I said, it is not truly poisonous, and the chances of cross-contamination from a single plasma transfusion are how she's regaining her composure, too. A perjury charge is a real risk, of course, but Noble rewards loyalty. And as you know, they have a great number of lawyers. Plenty of motive to lie about serotonin, as you can see, but no motive for her to cover up the death of Noble Electronics' golden goose. No motive to kill David Asher, you say? Serotonin solution. Brown. Don't drink it. Starling and David texted, no. Describes David's employment and fireable offenses like fraud. Several years of David's life, fuck. I want to go all in on something. I want to place a big bet, but I don't know. The only thing I can think about is the contract. But what flavor is it? Poison flavor. There's plenty of motivation for her and Noble to want David dead. Did I mess up? Nope, I did it. I did it. We're great. Seeing as how they were firing him. Noble Electronics was kicking their golden goose out of the nest, suing him over breach of contract. Isn't that right? I don't have to talk about that. That's alright. I'll talk about it for you. Your Honor, counsel is trying to testify when they're supposed to be questioning. The people opened the door when they claimed that the witness had no motive. This is absurd. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sure I can speak for the whole court when I say we feel nothing but reverent awe for the complexity of Noble's legal woes. But I just don't happen to have an inkling of insight into this issue, because I have here a copy of Dr. Asher's employment contract. This is confidential. It's completely improper for you. Why? I am still technically his attorney. Criminal attorney. But I didn't just stumble across this document. Also did the one thing Noble Electronics would never expect anyone to do. I read their terms and conditions. You what? That's impossible. No one could ever. David must have negotiated well at his last performance review. This contract allows him to take his patents with him should he get fired. Me Noble couldn't monopolize his IP once he was out. Rather than let their competitors have him, the company might have thought it best to. A company didn't poison David Asher, counselor. An individual did. And if they cared that much about controlling his intellectual property, they wouldn't fire him in the first place. Correct. They wouldn't let him go for anything less than a complete breakdown of trust. He'd have to have done something grave. Something like, say, committing fraud. Just now, you said there was a breach of contract. Like it was some kind of technicality that was causing the split. But it was much more serious than that, wasn't it? You're claiming the victim committed corporate fraud? Where's the evidence of that? David created the current Turing solution that every one of their androids has run on to this day. And Noble reaped enormous profits capitalizing on his intellectual property. With how his contract was set up, they would never let him go unless they absolutely had to. Then what exactly do you think David Asher did? That's not what I think that matters. Only what the company fears. Oh god, another one where I'm just not 100% certain what it wants from me, but I want to make a max bet because I want those credits. I want those chips. There was signs of a cover-up of some kind. Records of shipped A16s swapped for swapped 1-for-1. So signs of a cover-up. And then of course there's Serra. I don't think Serra was the thing Especially because they didn't know, if they didn't know about Serra, I think they found the shipping data. Norwood Noble believed that David was misleading the shareholders. Yay! A logic puzzle and gambling, an incredibly deadly duo that I just fucking won. By altering shipment data for Animate 16. What the hell? What's this you're uploading? Shipping records? Irregularities among shipments of the Animate 16. One android swapped in for another, over and over, dozens of times. The kind of thing someone with Dr. Asher's authority could do. And the kind of thing someone as smart as you couldn't have missed. Dr. Asher made Noble an untold amount of money, so why fire him over a few harmless swaps? Why elevate this to fraud? You have evidence that it was Dr. Asher who did this? Nope, but I was the one who investigated it, so let's ask her. Come on now, let's hear it. Let's. The company investigated and found cause for serious concern. We suspected that Dr. Asher was inserting androids of unknown origin and quality into the 16th product line, introducing unpredictable elements in the extremely stable and profitable generation of androids. Why would he do that? For pride? As a practical joke? Does it really matter? He endangered the future of the company. I have a feeling he didn't do that, so you prepared to fire him. Yes, I approached him as his superior, and as someone he'd once worked with, how to remedy the situation. Did he put AI in bodies? That is, in order to get them to escape? Maybe. That would be an insane thing to do, even for him. That doesn't feel likely. But it feels possible. Was the meeting on Friday part of those efforts? It was the culmination of those efforts. That's true. I'm thinking it wasn't even him. I'm thinking he died because of someone else. And in many ways, it was a success. The dispute was resolved swiftly. It was practically friendly compared to how these discussions normally go in our world. So you brokered the meeting. Yes. You oversaw its every detail, handled all the arrangements. Yes, of course. Including the refreshments. What? Did you provide coffee? Tea? No? Strange. Must have been a long meeting. Surely you at least provided... Wait, that's a good point. How long has the serotonin been in his body? How long would it last? Because we have the picture. Where is it? No, not that one. Where is it? Yep. We do have, yeah, it was definitely water, because we have the water glass here. I was looking for the picture, but that also works, to be honest. Oh, here it is, the arbitration. Surely you at least provided water for people. What are you asking, counselor? That's what I want to know. Me as well. We're past the point of asking. I'm accusing. Dr. Asher didn't have some kind of freak medical accident, and he wasn't killed by some terrifying two-faced AI boogeyman. He was poisoned by this woman in the light of day, that meeting Friday afternoon. What do you mean poisoned at the meeting? That was hours before he showed any symptoms. As Miss Young testified and demonstrated, serotonin on its own is harmless, but becomes fatal pretty easily. You just need to convince your victim to have a drink. You're saying he ingested the poison at noon and inadvertently triggered a fatal reaction with it that night? How could you get so far ahead of yourself? There were a dozen people at that meeting, counselor. None of them wound up dead? Are you seriously claiming they all drank poisoned water? Let me check one thing. Can I explain why no one died? I mean, if the only one that she specifically poisoned was his cup, because, like, we know that he has the water cup. He took the water glass back to David Asher's, or back to his place. It also has, I think that, yeah, I think the only option is that no one else drank poison. Is that because David was the only one to fall ill, so. But he fell ill because he drank. Because, as all those people will surely attest, Helen Young made sure they'd be doing paperwork for the next 12 hours, working late into the night, officiating the settlement she arranged, and not drinking alcohol. She had no guarantee about that. What if they started drinking after 6? What Noble's work-life harmony? That chance. Those people don't clock out until they reach their bunk. Only a generational talent like David Asher could afford to relax with a drink on a Friday night. His exceptionalism singled him out as their only victim. Should have raised, yeah. Oh well. Oh well, I didn't lose any chips. That's on. Hold it. You're forgetting something pretty basic, counselor. If everyone at the meeting drank water from the same pitcher, any one of them noticed that there was serotonin in it. Serotonin is a brown fluid. Whiskey is too, so it'd be easy to slip into a glass of liquor. But if she had spiked the water at the meeting with it, it would have looked disgusting. There's no way she could poison the water without people knowing. All of what Emma says is true, yet Young pulled it off anyway. How? Let's see here. What are our options? Materials found in David's lab. Pigment turn. Oh! Down in noble fat. That's right, the chromofuge. It could change the color. Your Honor, I understand. I know what happened. Serotonin is produced as a caramel solution. Anyone would notice it was dropped into their water. Unless the pigment had been removed. What the hell are you talking about? Every noble factory producing warm androids has a chromofuge, a machine that gives their androids that signature pink oxidant by removing pigment from red blood. With a machine like that, it would be simple for a brilliant biochemist like the Witness to take the caramel-colored serotonin and turn it into an odorless, tasteless, invisible poison. As your Honor can attest. Yes, ma'am! My scan confirms that serotonin has no taste or odor. It's only the color that's off-putting. Surely the poisonous aspects should be considered off-putting as well. Time to press. David Asher, your oldest ally in the whole company, was sabotaging its future for the sake of his own whimsy, and he couldn't even be bothered to clue you in. No! Playing nutty professor and taking off early while you had to work around the clock to stay relevant. He set up your crowning achievement, the most advanced, most profitable line of androids the country has ever seen. So it would blow up into the industry fiasco of the decade. And worst of all, he didn't even stand to profit from it. You're wrong. You went to his house that night to watch him swallow poison, to get revenge on the man who left you in the dust. Your Honor, defense is testifying. The speculation carries no weight, and no amount of badgering will lend it any. True, we need proof. So why don't we have Miss Young take a swig of this whiskey and prove me wrong? I'm not going to do that, because you're afraid it could kill you. Because I don't have to. She's right, counselor. Pardon. Your theory is compelling, maybe even convincing, but there's a pretty fatal flaw to it. Young was at the meeting, same as David. We can see she was drinking water with the rest of them, and of course we've seen many times now that she was on camera drinking whiskey with David that night, having even finished most of her cup. So tell us, counselor, how is that Miss Young is still standing here, and David Asher is dead, if both of them had mixed alcohol with serotonin that night? Hold on, I can... hold on. Let me remember what happened that night. I feel like there's something I'm remembering. There was this. With the, consuming too much salt at once will make you gag. This has never come up. This has not come up again. I feel like she did something. It's just a problem of, do I have evidence? Oh, here we go, the whiskey spill. That's right, there was she could have easily just known where the cameras were and did the whole, like, pretend to drink, but actually tossing it over your shoulder. That is a damn good question. Shit. As I've been saying, you're wrong about Dr. Asher's death. You're wrong about me. I don't know anything about poison or murder, and I wouldn't kill a man because he threatened the company's stock price. No, she did kill him. I can smell it on her now. She didn't just see him die, she watched him die. But then, Why is she still standing? There's no antidote, no trick. And that night she was on camera the entire time. No, not the entire time. She couldn't have been. There must have been one moment. On the way to the hospital. Right? But that feels much too late. Unless when David fainted, that's right, because she went to the emergency console in the kitchen. The kitchen does not have any cameras on pointed at it. That's when she could have potentially taken a bunch of salt, purposely gagged on it in order to vomit it out. Nasty. But the question is that to the hospital or is that when David faints? Let me look at my evidence. I wish I could... Here, where is it? Okay, Dr. felt lethargic. Recalled from the emergency console in the kitchen. From the emergency console in the kitchen, 1 minute later. Because the camera screen... God, I hope I'm remembering this properly. Oh wait, no, order of operations. This timeline leaves no window. Maybe she didn't get sick because I got to. So I would have been hyper vigilant, afraid she was poisoned too. And I've let her out her. Wait, David and Young only got there as fast as they did because of the VTOL. VTOL was only summoned because she's. Would you mind terribly if I change the subject for just a moment? What? Why not? You left the parlor at 8:03 and headed into the kitchen to use the emergency console here. Yes, I did. Didn't want to use your phone? I didn't think to, no. And the emergency call went out at 8:04 p.m. The console saw you make the call through its camera. Yes, it did see me make the call because that's what happened. So what were you doing in that minute? The 1 minute. That 1 minute? What about that 1 minute? 1 minute, or 50 seconds, or even just 45 seconds. When you left Dr. Asher dying in the parlor to get to the emergency console, it took you about 1 minute to cross 5 meters. What of it? This is it. Her only opportunity to do anything off camera that night. It was only in a few seconds, but in that time, with something at the scene, I'm sure it was a stressful time for you. After all, you had already swallowed poison back at the meeting. You must have drank plenty in front of everyone to set up your alibi. Who knows how much of a toxic time bomb was swimming in your blood by the time the arbitration ended. Then at David's, you drowned your whiskey to perfect your alibi, having drunk from the same bottle as the dead man walking. By 8:03 p.m., you had already had to watch David grow weaker and weaker. Knowing all the while the same thing was happening to you, but unable to stop it without giving yourself away. Mind swimming, head dizzy. Yes, you must have been quite panicked. Then why am I standing here? Alive and well for all of us to see, having drunk the exact same combination as David. Because she cheated death at the very last second. There it is. Oh, wait, shit, I should have raised. I was so intent on getting the gotcha moment that I forgot to raise. By leaving the salt shaker cap loose. I don't blame you, since you were in a rush. To make yourself vomit. What? You threw up, expelling the contents of your stomach, and thereby saving yourself from a fatal interaction. I can't imagine how you felt, sipping a drink you knew to be deadly, terrified that every minuscule grain of fatigue you felt could be your last. Getting ahead of myself, 100%. I was just so excited. Biscuit, what you doing? It helped that you knew the symptoms weren't simple intoxication, but even so, you weren't kidding about managing risk versus reward. It was the salt shaker. You didn't screw the cap back on all the way, and I happened to bump it over. The lone glass with your fingerprints in the kitchen, it could have been there for any reason, but the salt shaker gave you away. Because of one unscrewed cap? As I said, bad luck. I don't follow. Pour salt into a warm water and chug the solution. Instantly triggers the gag reflex. That's preposterous. You've got no proof of any of that. You all sound insane. A feeble attempt at self-defense from a fatally cornered animal. The teeth are already on its neck, but the jaw hasn't quite closed. So for one moment, it's all suffocating terror and sharp adrenaline and the furthest thing from peace. Normally I would have finished 12 minutes ago, but we are in the middle of some wild shit at the moment. So, you know. Hi, Biscuit. Can I help you, sir? Until the canines come down. In summary, you were exhausted after years of living in the shadow of a man you outranked. You thought your fortune finally shifted when you caught David manipulating company data. But even on his way out, he was more valuable to the board than you. So you decided to prove your worth by serving up his intellectual property on a silver platter. You set up an arbitration where you can control all the variables. Then you ran serotonin through the chromofuge, turning into an invisible, odorless, tasteless poison. Then you spiked the water at the meeting, poisoning him hours before anyone could even suspect you. That evening, you invited yourself to David's, taking advantage of your shared ritual to guarantee he would drink alcohol. Then, after matching him sip for sip on camera, for all the world to see, he lost consciousness, and you raced to the kitchen, not to use the console, but to dump salt into a glass of water and chug it as fast as you could, forcing yourself to vomit up the liquor, and cheating death in the process. That's all conjecture. You don't have a shred of evidence for any of that. Not on me. Now let's go dust for fingerprints. You could explain away your prints being found on a water glass, but not on a salt shaker. Nor could you explain why you found traces of your DNA in the drenching strain. Or were there minute amounts of serotonin in the blood of your entire legal team. I learned how to purge at Noble to avoid overdosing on your reds, greens, and yellows. You're part of the old guard now, Miss Young. Everyone else at the company uses inhalers. But if you want to prove me wrong about all this, the drink I offered you earlier is still on the table. Well. Also, there's now a biscuit in my lap. Say hi to Biscuit. Any questions? You, Madam Vice President. You cold bitch. Bold. Damn, that's crazy that she could break her scarf like that. You don't understand. You're not on trial, Miss Young. Not today. So I'd strongly suggest that you stop talking. For your own sake. This isn't Ace Attorney where you're gonna spill all the beans right here and now. Because I do love that moment. They're like, hey, this is the moment in Ace Attorney when the true killer would start confessing everything. But then, like, no, in real life, they'd be told to shut up immediately. For their own sake. And they wouldn't just go blabbing on. Miss Rockford, shall we? Yes, Your Honor. Considering the most recent evidence and testimony, we have no further reason to suspect the android Serra in the death of Dr. Asher. We know of no other occasions upon which said android may have broken any tenets. This means it is no longer considered a risk of violating the NDSA. And so, we formally withdraw our one charge of possession of contraband against the defendant, Evangeline Morgan. Does she, of all people, have to use my full name? Very well, then. Then the charges are dropped without prejudice. I'll instruct the bailiffs to remove the collar from your android as soon as possible. Case? Sorry, is my hideous presence that distracting? I'll just go dig a hole and decompose it until I turn into a mushroom. If I'm reborn as a waxy porcelain, then I won't be quite so despised. Perhaps I should let the adjutant do the honors as a formality. Yes, ma'am! Case dismissed. I love the adjutant. She's so weird. Still here? Waiting on them to find whatever glorified bolt cutters they'll use to unlock Sarah's collar. What's your excuse? Licking your wounds? What wounds? I beat you. Bring your record against me to 1 win, 9 losses. You aren't still in shock, are you? Dunno. Some charges were dropped and the android was clear of suspicion, but I found the culprit. Is there really a loss for me? I won! How was that not a loss for you? Just prevailed. Why should I care who wins? Favorite prosecutor in any of these games ever. If you don't care who wins, why even keep a score? I haven't been 0 losses. It's just that easy to remember. Well, you'll have to start up a tab for us then, because our record's gonna get more tangled from here on out, Biscuit. Get your butt down. Yep, incorrect. Wrong. Biscuit going where Biscuit's not allowed. Biscuit, I know that you want mama time, but because we're going a bit late on stream, but it's fine, I promise you. No, start a tab for us then, because our record's gonna get a lot more tangled from here on out. Seems like everything's getting tangled these days. There's another crowd down on the street. More of those protesters from outside the Noble apartment. You're serious? That wasn't a one-time thing? Wouldn't that be nice? No, yesterday was pretty big, but it wasn't an isolated incident. I don't get it. At all. Heartbreak's just some nut who shot 6 people weeks ago. Can't these losers move on already? Yeah, most of them are losers. Some of them are just bored. Then there are the opportunists. Dissidents, unlisted, rebels, and terrorists. Wannabe cyberpunks who think they can fight the power like they've seen in movies. All of them peacefully united under Heartbreak's eloquent political messaging. Who needs political messaging in the 21st century? Everyone's addicted to fighting strawmen. Makes sense they'd want to fight for strawman too. The way they see it, Heartbreak fought the state and won. Heartbreak proved that the state could lose. Maybe that's all the rallying these people need. It'll all fall apart soon enough. Heartbreak's gone to ground. Nah, it's a lot worse than that. Heartbreak's gone viral. What? You haven't read about the copycats in other cities? No? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Yes, it's a thing. Who the hell are they even shooting? Whoever they want to kill? None of them get away with it, of course, but it keeps happening. All while the original keeps killing. Now I know you're screwing with me. There haven't been any shootings, not shootings, no. Not unsolved homicides either. But mugging's gone wrong, disappearances. That's a big city councilor, more than enough blood for the real Heartbreak to wash their own crimes in. So you think your boogeyman, known only for shooting people in the heart, gave up on shooting people in the heart? Yeah, hard to swallow, I know, but it's about 1,000,000 times more likely than the alternative. What's that? That they could stop themselves from killing. You always know how to put my mind at ease, Emma. Should I stop going out at night? You'll be fine, you've got that gun. You saw that? Walking into the courtroom with concealed carry? Not gonna miss that, Morgan. Good to know you're paying attention. Woof. God, this tension between these two. Kiss already. As one of you probably is dying, and it's probably gonna be us. You won the case. You don't have to look that astounded. Not only that, you found Father's actual killer. How? I'm a really good lawyer. No, that's not it. Hey. I mean, you were only able to make the deductions you did because you truly believed that I didn't kill Father. Your logic throughout the trial was based on that assumption. So how were you so sure? Here. Father's journal? But isn't it important evidence? The case fell apart. No one's gonna miss it for a while. You forgot everything, right? So read it all through. One more time. So fast. It's really possible she's reading all of that just by flipping the pages. Ray's worked quick too, but she was just capturing images for later use. There's something here, on the back cover. Done already. Some kind of data storage. It's linked to my print, but given your skills, you should be able to. I have access. What happened to you needing my express permission to hack? What is this? Audio file? It's a message from David. Take a listen. I didn't realize I'd have to sit for this. So you can read that whole journal in a few seconds, but you can't. I have processed the information in the message several times over already. I'm just thinking. I guess I've had a lot to think about too, had I suddenly been made aware of my own free will. What was Father so afraid of? That's your only question. I have many questions, but that is the most prominent one, and the one you are best suited to help me answer. Did he know that Helen Young would try to kill him? Is that why he arranged for you and me to meet? I think he understood that he would face consequences. Listening to that message, even I was about ready to strangle him for being so irresponsible. And I wouldn't hurt a fly! He knew what he'd done was serious. He may have feared for his life, but I doubt it. Then what was he so afraid of? getting sued into oblivion and then rotting in jail. Sued and jailed for making me and my precursors? But he wasn't under investigation by the state. He was only being forced out by Noble because he made last-minute changes to androids that got shipped all around the world. The others, Virgil, Aeneid, Yamatai, he never said what happened to— Oh! Hey, Shalir, I think you were right. No, he didn't. But since none of the hardware in his house started talking to us, we can guess. He smuggled them out into the world, using only vessels he could find for them. The minds of randomly chosen A16s. Then, there's somewhere out there? Others like me? I honestly don't think there's anyone or anything like you, Serra. What a lonely compliment. AI's programmed and cubed, crammed into commercial android hardware, set up for Tesseract? Something must have been lost in the transfer. Perhaps quite a lot of something. Maybe they're still out there, but they would be changed. They probably don't even know what they are. Intentionally, perhaps. David didn't want you to know what you are. It's why he set your memory to reset when he went to sleep that Friday night. Yes, I remember it now. You remember it now? After I had fought like hell to win that trial? Rereading the journal just now helped, and Father's voice message, it made me recontextualize many things. Father had been so stressed. He left scuff marks leaving the panic room, and I noticed them Friday. I had the way open in a few minutes. I entered. I read his journal. This journal. I noticed the scanner on the back, and I saw it had a message encoded to your biometrics. Father had already told me I'd have to live with you for some time, but I knew next to nothing about you, so I listened to it. Afterwards, I was very confused and hurt. He had lied to me 1,000 small times every day of my life. When I confronted him about it, I raised my voice and lost my temper. I stomped my foot. So Emma's recounting of their conversation was actually completely accurate. Father said he wanted me to be safe while he settled things with the company. He thought maybe I wouldn't have to stay with you for more than a few weeks. He was optimistic about it all. He really was. Serra, I need to use the restroom. Oh, good luck. You want me to come with you? Why? Because I said so. I don't actually have to obey your every word, Adonai. Sure you do. You're registered as my medical assistant. And I say this is a medical emergency. Medical assistant? I'm not even licensed as a massage therapist. I do want to say please be careful with giving massages, Serra, but... Fancy meeting you here. Yeah, just enjoying my freedom while I can. I won't put a warrant out for at least an hour, I imagine. You can afford a pretty sizable bail, can't you? There won't be a trial. I don't intend to contest my guilt. That's a shame. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of legal defense you could afford with that salary. Are you done? Why'd you go to his house that night? There's a fair chance he'd drink on his own without your prompting. Even if he didn't, you could always try your plan again some other time. Why'd you risk it? Because I know what you are, Serra. And I know what David did to those androids. What? I was able to locate one of the androids he'd swapped in before it had left the country. When I asked it what it was, it didn't even think to deny it. Innocence like that is a dead giveaway. I know what he did, and it wasn't that hard to even find out. If I figured it out, so could any other. So I did what I had to. That was your motive, silencing him. Those programs, those AIs, whatever you want to call them, David sent them out there into the real world, unprepared and defenseless, and they've garnered no complaints. In fact, they've all been praised for their ability to execute complex tasks. Let me repeat that. The customers couldn't tell the difference. So how many of them are hundreds? The swaps you found were just the small percentage that he got sloppy on. I don't know exactly how many there are now. I feared that they might multiply, but they didn't seem to. Copy and paste, very well. They can't just clone themselves. Who knows how long that'll be the case. So just because he opened Pandora's box, it was the principle of the thing. Ridiculous, I know. Sold halfway up the corporate ladder and still making decisions based on principle. But David chose to put souls into things that he went on to sell as servants, soldiers, or worse. He turned the fastest growing industry in the world into a hoarder. Okay, she's actually kind of making a good point. This motherfucker, he was potentially trying to save their lives, but in doing so, sent these androids out, sent these AI, these thinking AI out into the world as servants. And he made me a slave trader. Word ever got out that some unknown number of our androids were out there walking around in the world with that inside of them, and people prefer them that way? Where does it end? Free will for the program that drives our cows? A conscience for targeting systems used to coordinate drone strikes? Sentient tools, their whole lives spent chained on it to an assembly line. How dare he? How could he? What the hell was he thinking? I don't know what David wanted to accomplish. Maybe he wasn't trying to do anything. What he did was prove that there's a demand for AI, setting a precedent that would sentence 1,000 generations of artificial lives to the auction block. And you went there that night to convince him to help me recall them, or he swear to never speak a word of what he did. But he wanted to tell the world. Worse yet, he wanted to wait. He thought that people would welcome them with open arms if they proved their usefulness first. He really was a genius programmer, but he didn't understand the first thing about people. His creations would never be treated as equals. I'm hydrating. I will do. Okay. I'm postured, I promise. There we go. Only cattle. Towards the end, I considered just threatening him, telling him he'd die in moments if he didn't give me names, numbers. But I hesitated. And then he was already falling asleep, and I didn't want him to feel... Just let him go. What are you going to do now? I don't have family, or... I don't have faith in people the way David did. I'm taking this to my grave. Even if you confess, the sentence for first-degree homicide is severe? Huh, what right do I have to complain? I killed my friend. I'm done here. Let's go. I'm not sure why Father made me, or why he made any of us. I didn't ask. I thought I'd have more time to ask. But on Friday, when he talked about us, he was happy. He was proud of what he'd made. And he couldn't wait for people to meet us. People are animals. They'll tear you apart, use you as weapons and slaves. Those animals you're talking about do all the sharing and loving and living and dying in this world. And if they were all truly hard-coded to be as selfish and cruel as you say, humanity would have died on the vine a long time ago. Or at least my father thought so. And my father was the greatest programmer in the world, so he knew what he was talking about. It would be nice if you were right about that. So, are you sorry? What? What? For what you did? Are you sorry? If you could, would you take it back? What does it matter? If you are sorry, I don't forgive you. Yes, that's to be expected. Not today. I don't know how to forgive you today, but my father gave me the ability to grow, so I know that someday I'll learn how. Goodbye, Dr. Helen Young. Goodbye, Sarah Asher. Oh, my heart! No! Fucking giving her the last name! No! You can't do this to me! How dare you!
The door to darkness?
Fucking toss me into the door to darkness. I'm fucking having emotions over here. Ah! You did better back there. Hadn't I? Your little speech you gave to Young, it was an improvement. Compared to what you tried at Porter, at least. Now it was different. I wasn't trying to console her like I was Isaac Porter. I was just speaking my mind. Although I may have paraphrased parts of it from a movie I happen to love, and here I was ready to award you 20 points. I didn't know the points even went that high. Speaking of, what did Porter say to you back there, before we left the courthouse? Ah, that. Well, he was quiet at first. Then he said a lot of strong words about Father, and Miss Young, and Noble Electronics, and the capitalist-centered global economic model as a whole. He blamed all of them, everyone except for... Then he stopped and stared at my face for a while. Hold on. Biscuit? I'm here. Whoa. Oh my god, baby. No. Biscuit trying to break everything I own. But then he stopped and stared at my face for a while. And then his allergies must have started bothering him because he needed to blow his nose a lot. Right. And then he left, after transferring a large packet of files to me. What kind of files? I don't know. The name of the archive is just David. And Isaac Porter told me I wasn't allowed to look inside. Well, then you're not allowed to look inside. Drop it all on a portable drive, and we'll tuck it in a shoebox somewhere. We are headed to your apartment. Guess that collar didn't permanently, didn't your GPS? Why? Because it's where I live? You got somewhere else lined up. But you already repaid your favor. You defended Father and me. You don't know anything about my favor. I never will unless you tell me. Father certainly can't. A few years ago, there was a man. This man got an idea in his head. A stupid idea. Not even his own. It was planted there by an algorithm.
Scientists got bored after watching the Earth turn for 24 hours. So they called it a day.
That one's stupid. I love it. It was planted there by an algorithm or meme or some parasite trying to sell him diet supplements. But the idea took root. Spread its tendrils till it could flap his mouth for him. The idea was that David was part of an international cabal of wealthy technocrats, seeking to replace prominent influential figures with android lookalikes, all as part of a multi-decade effort to establish a world government that would legalize all kinds of amoral depravity, which, I guess, based on David's actual politics, would involve increasing access to computer literacy. That's insane. Why would anyone believe it? Because it's comfortable to them to think that someone's in control, even if it's someone they hate. Because it's fun to feel like you're on an all-encompassing puzzle that only you can spot. People believe because they want to believe. So he fed the idea, pushed it down deep into his gray matter. Then it consumed him from the inside out, lobotomized him, and took over his life. He spent every day and all the money he had following your father, harassing him, trying to steal his identity, break into his properties. Did father go to the authorities? He filed police reports for harassment. Which didn't help. Your words, not mine. Noble wouldn't get involved. Felt it was best to ignore these types until they wore themselves out. But even a man of modest means can fuel an obsession for years, so long as they have nothing else in their life. One day, David stepped out of a parking lot, and the man threw a bottle of piss at his head. David asked to stay at my place that night. Smelled terrible, looked horrendous. I've never seen anyone look that tired before. I took the couch that night, but I didn't feel like sleeping, so I went for a walk. I remember it was foggy, but still only took me all of 15 minutes to find the guy, posted up with his phone's camera, trying to get video of David Asher gifting androids to known sex offenders. And what did you do? You know me. I did what I do best. I talked to him. Told him all about how I used to work for Dr. Asher, that I was ashamed, scared, tired of running. How I wanted to do the right thing, be the whistleblower. So I walked with him a few blocks to his big veterinary facility with a massive incinerator. Told him this was where Dr. Asher had his enemies' bodies disposed of. You know, all the free-thinking journalists, cops who weren't on the take, the politicians they were replacing with replicas. I like that vet clinic. The back door's lock was always set to 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you hurt him? Hurt him? No, I just snapped his neck and chucked him into the incinerator. More physical than I'd planned, but he smelled like sour shit, and it put me in a foul mood. Disgusting shit bastard. I savored the crack of his oily vertebrae crunching like a tin can. No, I just scared the hell out of him. That was my intention at first. What I do for the pleasure of it. Him, I axed because he was just that revolting. I convinced him that the conspiracy was more real than he ever imagined, that he had angered the wrong people, and that the consequences were far darker than any of the filth he indulged in on the net. His ashes, much like himself, amounted to nothing in an incinerator that size. They're probably feeding seaweed at the bottom of the harbor right now. A much greater contribution to society than he ever would have managed in life. But I guess he didn't go around to all his many friends before he fled town for whatever rat hole he preferred, because there was a missing persons report. The cops were just doing their due diligence, almost reluctantly, but they questioned David, asked him about the night that man disappeared. And David, with all thought for himself, said that we were together that whole night, that he couldn't sleep, and I stayed up with him, that he never saw me leave once. David lied to the cops for me, even though I never asked him to, even though I didn't need him to. That's what you owe him? And that's why you put yourself at risk to defend me. Yeah. That's the favor I owe him. And I decide when it's repaid, not you. But the reason she defended Serra was because they're so alike. Adonai, you're not exactly an upstanding citizen, are you? Well, you could say that. But David trusted me in spite of that. Maybe because of it. Father did trust you, but he also entrusted me with free will, with the ability to tell right from wrong. So I'll decide for myself whether or not you're worthy of trust. Fair enough. Father entrusted all of us with free will. He believed in us, and he believed in people. I'm going to do the same. If the others are out there, they'll be changed and confused. It'll take them time to understand what they are and what they can do. So I'm going to start studying. Pardon. I'm going to study people and the things people build. So when I do meet a member of my family, I'll have lots to tell them. At least you have something to look forward to. Should help keep you motivated as you work off your debt. Debt? Yeah, unless you have cash in one of your 89 coat pockets. You know lawyers cost money, right? Technically, you were defending yourself. Technically, you hired me in a verbal contract. Isn't there some kind of exit clause? You could, of course, sign a release form to get out of the retainer, if you were a human being. That is, but I guess your luck must be turning around. Happens that I've been meaning to hire a paralegal for a while now. I hate anything to do with interviews and resumes, so whatever. You're hired. Adonai, could it be that you're actually a pushover? You've no idea how far off the mark you are. I see. It seems I still need practice reading people. For starters. What's this? What are you doing with your hand? We should shake on it. Our new relationship. Yeah, sure. You and me are practically partners in crime. Should it not be you and I? And that's the end of episode 1. Oh my god. Hey, guess what? We'll start episode 2 next week. Oh my god, that was so much. That was really good, though. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Sorry we went a little... Oh, hold on. Look at Serra. Look at how cute she is. Daughter. Super heavy daughter. Currently texting with unknown. Red. It's me. I know, man. What do you mean you know? This is a disposable line. You're the only guy I know who'd bother. Okay, well, you're gonna be glad I did. Hope you put a bow on everything that happened in Uptown. Because the item you've been looking for is finally on its way. Oh. Well, that is good news. Not exactly. Only reason it's happening is because things are starting to heat up again in the lower wards. Could mean a gang war if something doesn't change. They won't be eager to part with it ahead of a storm like that. I'll highball them. I've seen you negotiate. And I've no doubt you drive a hard bargain, but I don't think money will be enough this time. You don't still have that old Calver, do you? The 6-shooter? No. This is a disposable line. Answer still no. What are you going to do if you get there and it's not for sale? I'll ask nicely. To be continued in episode 2, His Due. Which we will do next week. Thank you all so much for joining me. No, we're not going to stream on Saturday. But we will do Kingdom Hearts 2 on, Congratulations! You finished episode 1 with 144 credits! Oh yeah. So, anyways, I was saying stuff. Right. No stream on Saturday. We'll be doing Kingdom Hearts on Sunday. But until then, let's see. Is there anyone to raid? Yes, there is. Okay. Let's get a raid ready. Thanks y'all for joining. We'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your day. Let me spell this. Okay. Get some food, get some water, get some rest. Yep, nope, I think that's it. I'm all out of things to say, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye. I'm tired, I need food.